Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass, live and in living color here with you only on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight we've got not one, not two, but three wonderful guests on the Horror Roundtable number 10, and absolutely no regrets. I'm super excited tonight to have three wonderful guests, and I'm super excited here tonight because first, this guy right over here, I met him on this guy's show, this guy's Roundtable, actually back in, I think it was September or even August. He is Matt Landrum. What's going on, Matt?
What's up, dude? Thanks so much for having me on. I'm stoked to be here.
Dude, glad to have you. And I don't know Fulci the dog is behind you, but Matt Landrum has a dog named Fulci.
I do. He's chilling. Usually he's on the couch hanging out, snoring, but he's laying on the fucking floor tonight. So maybe he'll make an appearance. We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm very loud. So if anything, I'm sorry if I scared him or anything.
No. That. I got my headphones in. We're cool, dude. He's fine.
Cool. Okay. I knew once I knew I was like a guy with a dog named Fulci. Like this is friendship at first sight right here.
Oh yeah.
Below him is one half of the innovators and master debaters of horror talk radio. One of the biggest reasons Grande's Graveyard even exists to this goddamn day. He is the legendary Uncle Bill. What's going on, Uncle Bill?
Not much, man. It's a hell of an intro though, but I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be on here.
Yeah, I just got to they got to do the whole. Do you hear me, brother? Yeah, Uncle Bill is in the house. And, of course, down below him, he is the alpha of all Romeros, one of the best people I know in the whole wide world, Alpha Romero. What's going on, Alpha?
What's up, man? I ask you a serious question here. Of all the shows and all the streams that you've done with that opening, have you flubbed it? Have you ever fucked up? Because I've never heard you flub it once, not even a little bit.
I mean, I'm sure I have. I don't know. Not off the top of my head does it come to mind, but I was gonna do the whole Chevy Chase, like we got the fucking four holly jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the house. But I was ready to I try to do it all together, so I just was like, no, I'm not gonna go there. But I'm sure I have. I don't know. We have to check the graveyard archives. We're coming up on 300 of these son of a bitches. Isn't that crazy? How time flies? Like it's like absolutely crazy to me. But we got some wonderful people in the chat. Miss C, Ciao Grande and Graveyardian friends. Welcome, Miss C. We have Mateo, Ciao Grande and guests. Always a great and fun format to know more about people and learn new things, of course. Hi to the whole graveyard. Anthony Chobot's in the house. Hello, John. By the way, I'm up to 2008 in the memoirs. Holy shit, buddy. You're getting there. Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. Cinephile Sanity. Sean's in the house. Dr. Howdy666 is here. What's going on? El Grande's flaws of the intros. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm super excited you all can make the time here tonight. I love doing the horror roundtables, and it's crazy that we're at number 10 now. So this is crazy. But would anyone want to kick us off? Obviously, we'll keep things horror related, or since the time of the season, Christmas related, whatever you guys want to bring to the table. When you guys want to kick this off, take it away.
I just want to ask one question. Going back to your intros, do you have a fucking cameo or something where I can pay you to fucking cut me intros just to like walk in a room or something? Like,
you don't even know the half. You don't even know the half of it, Matt. Dude, I'm not gonna ask you to dance the monk or anything, Grande, but this dude does a spot on William Hickey impression and a fucking spot on Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh my god, I could do the William Hickey. I could do that easy. The fucking Christmas Vacation line. Should I do that one? You couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant.
You got to do the fucking fingers.
I love
that. Is amazing.
I did did you send it to Uncle Bill where I did the?
It wouldn't let me like download it or anything.
Oh shit! I gotta send that to Uncle Bill. Remind me after the show. We gotta send that to him because I did it and it was like asking. It was like having Uncle Bill on the show. It was fucking hysterical. I couldn't redo it here. But Ginger Ninja texts in, says, hey, ho, ho, ho. What's going on? Ginger Ninja all the way from Australia. When do you guys want to take this? Feel free, man. The floor is open.
Well, I'll go. I'm a new guy. Is it cool?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. What's your topic, buddy?
All right. So, my first topic, of course, I'm going to talk about Fulci, right? So I want to talk about the different flavors of Fulci, right? Whenever anybody talks about Fulci, they always want to talk about the Gates of Hell trilogy. But I want to kind of step outside the Gates of Hell and kind of pick your brains a little bit and see if there's any kind of era or any particular film before or after the Gates of Hell that you appreciate. So, Fulci, he's got he's got his westerns, he's got giallo, he's got like fucking northern adventure films, White Fang, all that stuff. He had some fucking stinkers towards the end of his career, but there were still one or two that I thought were pretty decent. So just kind of want to ask you guys if there was anything in particular, For the Apocalypse, fucking Contraband. Contraband is like this incredible gangster film that's still got all those gory elements. And it's one of my favorite films. So just kind of want to open it up and see what you guys thought about that.
I can tell you right now, like the first thing that came to mind, even though it looks like that it was shot from behind from behind a church pane glass window, is Conquest.
Yeah.
Like for some ungodly reason, I've always really loved Conquest. And like there's no way to make that movie look good because it was literally shot with like something like over the camera that made it have that horrible pink hue to it.
It's like a haze. I don't know what they used or whatever, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't fucking stand that movie.
I know, but most people can't.
I can't fucking stand it.
The one thing with me and Fulci is you're going to find out is that the shit that most people can't stand, I really, really like. And that's one of like the main ones. I just think it's like, I'm a sucker for those sword and sorcery kind of stupid movies anyway, though. But like, I always like that one. You mentioned Contraband, so that one's kind of like in there too. I'm trying to think of the name of the other one that's like this is another one people hate universally, but I love Lizard in the Woman's Skin. Like, I think that is like the perfect mind fuck kind of like movie, and it makes zero sense. It's almost unintelligible, but I love that movie.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I can't. It's hard for me to stomach. Like I get what you're saying. I think it's a pretty kind of decent thriller, giallo, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think it's there, but I lost my train of thought a couple of times when I was watching it. I don't know what it was, but then.
Well, he lost his train of thought making it a couple times.
That's what it felt like. Yeah, that's what it felt like. So it just seemed kind of incoherent to me. But
I think that's the beauty of it, though.
It is. It's totally.
I love Florinda Balkan in it. I love it's like the drug psychedelic. It's just a weird to me. That's the best era of Fulci is the early 70s when he was trying to do like Jolly. Like to me, Don't Torture a Duckling is probably my favorite of all.
Absolutely.
I love the Psychic, even though I know it's a very slow
the Psychic. Yeah, man, I could talk a whole essay about the Psychic, but you're right though. That era of like him trying to imitate like Argento or whatever the hell was going on there, like just imitating like the Italian giallo guys in general, like that's a great era. Really, he was trying to. I think I heard somewhere he was actually kind of jealous of Argento because of how Argento got his start, and like Fulci and like Bava and all those guys were kind of like a little not upset with him, but they were kind of like they didn't like him a whole lot but then of course eventually they would form this awesome relationship together, which I think Argento even paid for Fulci's funeral. Yeah, that's right. Have you ever seen that interview with him? This interview cracks me up for some reason. I forget what disc it's on. It's one where he's just like, it's an older interview. He's almost like passed away by that point, but he's like just in like on a staircase in like a wheelchair, and somebody's interviewing him. I think it might be his daughter, maybe. And it's just him talking for like 2 hours about everything. And it's just the wildest interview because he talks about Argento and he talks about like all that stuff. I wish I could think of what I saw that on.
I was going to say, I've never seen this.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't.
It's just, and it's like a horribly shot, just like one shot on almost like a VHS camera looking kind of thing. Maybe somebody here will know. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a Severin release that had it on it, but I can't remember which one it was. But it's a really great interview for like that. They just keep the camera on him and somebody's asking him questions off screen for like 2 hours about all those eras and stuff.
Oh man, that sounds.
No, I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I've never seen that.
Yeah, no, me neither. I think like the one thing, and I mentioned this, I think on a past Graveyard, where I always loved about him, whether the movies ended up being better than or not. I always loved that he would try to one up people. Like his mentality, like the whole famous story goes, he saw The Shining and he figured I could do that better. And then that's when House by the Cemetery. Now, I don't think House by the Cemetery is even close to being as good as The Shining, but I like the mentality. Like I like that fuck you. I'll make it that. Like that's I love. That's why I love him. And Dawn of the Dead, I'll make zombie, you know, same thing with, you know, fucking any Argento, I'll do better Jolly. Like, I always respected that about him, you know, whether you thought his version or whatever, or, you know, sequels.
He's like the Spinal Tap of Italian. He just turns everything up to 11. It's like, what kind of shit do you have? And then I'm just going to crank up everything about it to like the maximum. You know who else is great with that though is Bruno Mattei. Like, he does the same shit, but like it's not
Vincent Dawn, baby.
It's not nearly as like, how do you say it? Competent. Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's not nearly as competent, but like it is entertaining. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, totally, man. What do you think, Alpha? Do you have any favorite Fulcis from before or after that prime era?
Well, you mentioned The Psychic. That's one that I just rewatched not long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and that's really, really fucking good. One
it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, it's one that Tarantino's asked if he would make a horror movie, like he wants to remake The Psychic. I've heard him say that.
He's raved about The Psychic before. Yeah, he's talked about that a couple of times. I think he loves that movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. One that I watched a couple months ago, again for the first time in a while, and I just love it because I just love. It's like peak sleaze horror is what I call it. Is New York Ripper. I think.
I knew you were going to say that when you said peak sleaze. I was like, that's got to be the next thing that comes out of it.
Like it's the definition of sleazy slasher film, but
it's a fucking dirty fucking movie.
It really is. It's borderline porno at certain
points.
The
footsie scene, that's disturbing. Like, to me, I can't watch.
Yes.
That's like too far.
Well, hell, everything about that movie is too far. Really,
everything. Yeah.
The stab of the teeth.
Have any of you seen the Devil's Honey? Because that's like,
yes, man,
crazier.
That's not even. That's more of like just a softcore. At that point, they're like saxophone simulated sex going on in it. It's like, I don't even know.
There's a guy on the moped. He's driving around the moped. He's like, jerk me off. And she's like, what? And they're on the highway. She's like, he's like, do it. And she's like, all right. I was like, what the fuck?
Yep. I remember watching the first 10 minutes of that movie and I was just immediately like, what in the hell have I got myself into? Like, it starts off at like a 10 and just goes up to like a 30 by the end of it.
Yeah,
but that's what's so crazy about Fulci though, is that you have those different, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with you guys, was you have those different, you got the Gates of Hell, you got New York Ripper, you get all that nasty shit, but then you also have all these like classy films that he directed, you know what I mean? And I brought up For the Apocalypse. That's a fucking awesome Western. Like, you wouldn't think, you know, like I don't know. I loved it. I don't like Westerns, but that just drew, if you've ever seen that before, the story is just incredible. And the ending will have you in tears.
Yeah, he was incredibly well-rounded. I think that's like, even though I would put Argento and probably Mario Bava over him as far as like, you know, taste-wise, I think that he was more well-rounded than both of them. Like, I think that Dario made more Jolly than John Ford made Westerns, you know? But it, like, Lucio always was trying to do something different in different movies and genres, and he kind of like went all over the place. So that's, I think, the coolest thing about him. He was a little bit more well-rounded than those guys, and he was fucking crazy. At least it seemed like. So.
Yeah, true auteur.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple people in the comments talking about Fulci. I still need to catch up on a decent amount of Fulci movies, but most of them don't do much for me. That's totally fine.
It's definitely like an acquired taste for sure. Some people are just not gonna get it whatsoever.
There are some people I know that they like the Gates of Hell trilogy, but that's it. Like, they can't, or Zombie, and then they can't watch anything else from him. I'm like, oh, you know, like, that's kind of a bummer. I feel like you're missing out a little bit. New York Ripper Supremacy, absolutely. Conquest is so good. Let's see. Inferno and The Beyond are basically very similar, but I believe the movie The Fulci is better between the two. Okay. Just check Letterboxd. Sounds like Fulci for Fake or Fulci Talk. I've seen Fulci for Fake. I have that. I don't know if that's a special feature on there, but I don't know. I'm not seeing.
Does anybody have the Psychic Severin release like around them anywhere?
Let me see what I got.
I have the Blu-ray from Kino. I don't have the Severin release.
Because for some reason I want to think that that's what it's on.
No, this isn't the Severin release. Let's see.
I scratch Bruno is saying that's the case.
That's it. Okay.
Okay, so that figures. I have the Blu-ray from Kino, so now I gotta fucking pay $50, Severin, you son of a bitches. I'll figure that shit. But
that's how the end every time.
And it's just kind of like stuffed in there amongst everything. They don't pay any like special attention to it or anything, right? Like, and it's a horrible rendered version. Like, it looks awful and sounds awful, but it's just great to see him talk about like so many different things over such a long period of time, uninterrupted, essentially. Like, so that's why I recommend it. Yeah,
I'll definitely.
No, I got to see that. Fulci shoot interview on a VHS quality sounds pretty.
That's awesome. Basically what it is. Exactly. Yeah.
Should call this panel 14 Eyes. Don't you be making fun of us wearing glasses, AJ.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Brinazzle's here. Hello.
I've been made fun of about my glasses in about 20 years.
That's really.
Yeah. Okay.
I do gotta give some quick love to Zombie 3. I do love Zombie 3.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yes, absolutely. Even though he only did he do half of that movie? And
well, he did it was half Fulci.
He did it was like 75% him. Then Bruno Mattei to come in and spice it up a little bit. You know, it's the perfect combination. You know,
you need a 25% of anything. Just call Bruno Mattei. That's just you got to get, man. But let's go. We'll go like in a clockwise. So, Uncle Bill, what you got for your first topic, buddy?
So I wrote these down today. I'm just curious, like real quick, which one of these like you guys are most excited about? Okay, and give me your honest opinion. Scream 7, The Return of the Living Dead reboot, 28 years later, Megan 2.0. Which of those are you most excited to go to the theater and see?
Oh my God.
Pull the trigger.
That's what's coming up.
I don't even think all of them will make it to the theater, to be honest with you. I don't think that Return of the Living Dead, I don't know if that's going to make it to the theater.
American Psycho reboot too. Was it Luca? What's his face? The dude that's directed
Guadagnino.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it the guy that did
what? Luca Guadagnino is remaking American Psycho?
Yes, he's doing it with Butler.
The dude that played Elvis. Yeah, Austin Butler.
Is it going to be like American Psycho's gay? Like, is that going to be?
I don't know. But you know what?
Timothy Chalamet, probably.
Call me, dude. You know what? Though? Call Me by Your Name, or what is it? Call Me by Your Name. That's a fucking beautiful movie, dude. Like,
it is.
How you feel about whatever.
I like the Suspiria remake too. Like, I thought he did a good job because he knew he couldn't out Dario, and everything was bleak. And I thought he did the good job with that. He's a good director. I don't know. I wouldn't expect that.
Would you expect also the Butler guy that was to be the main lead? I wouldn't have. People are basically just like shitting all over that casting choice. By the way, that's pretty universal. But I don't know. I mean, he may be okay in it. Everybody just has Elvis in their head. They can't, get that idea out.
Yeah,
that's bizarre. I wonder if they'll still do the Huey Lewis in the News, or if now it'll be like NSYNC. Do you listen to NSYNC?
Oh yeah. I wonder if they're gonna like modernize it. Yeah.
Oh my God!
They're gonna modernize it and set it in the 90s. This one.
Yeah. Ultimately, my question is that like what is there? What are we looking forward to here? Is there any of these mainstream movies that anybody's looking forward to?
Give me the list one more time. I got to hear this list again.
If you add the American Psycho onto it too, so you got Scream 7, you got the Return of the Living Dead reboot, you got 28 years later, you got Megan 2.0. That's the ones that I know about. Like right now.
I mean, 28 weeks later is interesting to me. 28 days later. 28 weeks later, I haven't seen in years and years and years. The trailer for 28 weeks later, I mean, it just looks like a trailer. Every trailer looks the same these days. It's got the same beats and the same things. I don't really know what to make of the trailer, but I think it's Danny Boyle, and it's got a good cast. I mean, that one gives me the out of any of them that from what I've seen. Although Scream 7. Like, there's an idea there that they could do to make that movie interesting again, but they're not going to do it. They're just going to continue to go down. Although they're not going to bring back, what's her face, the two newest cast members. I guess they're not coming back, are they?
Googly Eyes. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega and
Melissa
something
or another.
Would you call her Grande? Googly Eyes?
I call her Googly. I think she's so bad. Oh my God, dude. I was so happy when she got fired. Like, she wasn't justly fired, but I was like, this is not a travesty. And then, we're gonna make number 7 with Nev. Oh my God, dude, I'm so done with Scream. Those 5 and 6, I think, are just terrible. Like,
you didn't like Dermot Mulroney in the last one,
dude. I was like, I would have fired him. I was like, this guy, did he even try? Like. And Hayden Panettiere,
no, dude, shit. she's like she was on Quaaludes or something throughout that whole movie. I was trying to figure out what
I don't know what
on.
the hell was going on with her in that movie. I
But
kind of feel bad for her. I felt like they like drugged her up and just threw her on set. She was just like there, like I'm not doing
Judy
it.
Garland on The Wizard of Oz said they're just giving her amphetamines to keep her up, and then Quaaludes to like knock her out.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
But seriously, because I bring this question up because we recently did a whole series of like, you know, going through the movies of the 80s and the 90s. And it's like, if you go through there, you can find like 20 or 30 classic movies through a lot of those years, you know. And now it's like, if one or two movies comes out where you're like, this was a really great movie a year. And I can think of two only in my head this year, maybe three horror films where I was like really like blown away by them. Like, it's amazing if you get that now. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I guess is the ultimate question.
I think really what it comes down to,
we're just being aged out. Like, are we just getting too old? Is like everything that appeals to a younger audience is just not going to grab us anymore? And
or the younger audience just stupid?
Yeah, well, they don't make them like they used to. I think that's really what it is. They don't make the films like they used to make them. And plus, everybody's out of ideas. That's why you see all these reboots and sequels.
Although I will say this year is one of those years where a lot was coming out that I wanted to see. About 60 to 70% of it I ended up not liking, but at least there was something that I was like, oh, like Nosferatu's coming out like next week. I'm jacked to see that because I love Robert Eggers. I'm a huge Nosferatu fan. The original, one of my all-time favorites is that Werner Herzog Nosferatu the Vampire. Like I'm curious to see what Eggers does with that. But as for like 2024, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, Longlegs, Maxine. There was a lot of stuff that came out in A Violent Nature, a lot of stuff that came out that I was excited to go see. And like I said, I only ended up liking, one or two of them, but at least there was some excitement to it. Terrifier 3, like there was stuff coming out that people were actually going to the theater and wanting to see and talking about. I don't know about next year with that list you just rambled off.
Well, that's like the mainstream stuff, right? Like that's the stuff that'll actually like probably go to theaters. And to me, that stuff is never really that good, especially not in the last 5 years. Like if you look at like these franchise titles they're cranking out, like you look at look at the Halloween series, the Scream series, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, any of the major franchises, you try to watch those movies and you're like, God, good Lord, like what am I doing? But you're right. Like every now and then they'll sneak something in like Longlegs or The Substance or something like that. And you're just kind of like, okay, well that, there's that at least, but it's never generally like a big movie.
The best stuff for horror usually comes out independently, or it'll show up like randomly on like my favorite of the year was Stop Motion. I loved that movie, and it just randomly like popped up on Shudder. I was like, what is this? And I was like, holy crap. I was like, why was that not in the movie theater? I was just like blown away.
I haven't seen that one. I'd like to see that one. I
really liked that. I liked Longlegs. I liked Heretic I was like, Hugh Grant as a horror villain, like how would this work? And then I walked out of the theater, I was like, well, I'll be fucking goddamned. I was so surprised. I thought that was great too.
I was watching
when it surprises you.
I was watching Oddity. I don't know if any of y'all have seen that last night.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And I was like, this is all the way up till the end. Like all the way up till the main end. I was like, this is great. Like, I mean, it's really well acted. It's got like great kind of set pieces, great suspense to it. I didn't like the end shot though. That kind of like I don't feel like people know how to end movies anymore. But it went full circle. But that was a good little movie. It
was decent. What was that? What was it? It was like the wooden dude.
So the chick was blind and her sister had gotten murdered by this guy.
Yeah.
And it turns out that she was kind of like psychic, but her parents were apparently witches or some shit like that. And they got this wooden dude for their anniversary present from a witch. And like he could come to life and exact revenge and things like that on people that had wronged her. And and it kind of plays out. And she also owned like an oddity shop. And that's where the title comes from. And at the main end, it comes full circle. But at the main end, I was like, I wanted the last shot to be amazing, and the last shot is just like I kind of laughed out loud about it. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Common theme for movies this year, from what I've noticed, is like the ending is always just like what? Like one that I watched the other day that might be my favorite that I've seen this year so far. I haven't seen The Substance yet. That's one I still got to check out. But Strange Darling, have you guys seen that?
Yeah. Watched that a couple months ago.
I didn't even hear of it until I was watching. I think it was Friday Night Liz with you guys when you guys I think, kept hearing that coming up. Strange Darling. I was like, what the hell is that? So it was on Amazon, I guess. And I rented it, watched it the other day, and I thought that was really, really good. Like it moved fast. Like you never knew where the hell it was going. Really well done. And then it gets to the end, and it's like it just kind of keeps going. It doesn't really have a finale, and then it just kind of ends. I don't know.
Well, that's a whole discussion in of itself. Like, I really believe that the endings of these movies are the biggest part of the problem. And I don't know if that's writing. If people are just writing movies now just because they have an idea, but they want to like pump a lot of money behind just the idea, but they don't know where it's going, and it just kind of ends. That seems to be a pattern in a lot of these movies, though.
I think, though, I would say at least I give an independent movie with a bad ending credit over a Megan 2.0 or Return of, like, what the hell was that Return of the Living Dead like teaser Christmas trailer?
Well,
like,
here's my question. Like they were kind of champion Tarman through that whole thing. Didn't Tarman get his fucking head knocked off in the?
That's what I said. Like,
so, like
I hate. There's a whole video about this that we did, but I fucking hate this trend that they do where they take like just a smaller character from a movie, right? That really like you said, he got his head knocked off in the original.
Yeah.
They bring him back, and now he's like the central character because people remember him, and they're like, we're going to base the whole movie around this guy because you know him. And it's like, dude,
it's marketable.
He wasn't even like a big part of that movie. He was just barely like.
I cringed when I saw it. I was like, what? Like, what? Like, this is something I should be really looking forward to. Like, I just don't. All the movies you listed, maybe, I would agree with Alpha. Of the ones you listed 28 years later would be probably the one that will be the best of those. But shit, I don't know. I think, isn't Guillermo del Toro doing his Frankenstein? That'll be probably really good. I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's coming out 2025. Yeah. So that's one that I think will be interesting. That'll be big mainstream because I always really like Guillermo's films. But of the other ones, I think Saw 11 is supposed to come out too. That's one that you did mention.
I forgot about that. Boy, I can't wait to see where he's got that jump drive hidden now. Figure out what next games we're gonna play.
He's got the tape hidden in his colon.
Yeah.
My God. Hearst Hill, thank you so much for the super chat. Happy holidays. Thank you, gentlemen, for your awesome reviews. Thank you so much for saying that. Love Train Spotting, but I think that Danny Boyle is an overrated director. There's some Danny Boyle films I like, but yeah, I could see that. I will say that I like both the 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, so I wouldn't say I'm against 28 Years Later. I just think that maybe it was a little too long in between films. Like, one was 28 Weeks Later. Wasn't that like the late 2000s?
Yeah, it was 2000s.
2007, 2008. Yeah, because I remember going to see that one.
So, wow, so that's 18 years ago.
But you know what I heard about this one too, though? And I can't remember where I heard it, but they shot the whole thing on an iPhone 15. Is that right? Y'all heard about that?
Does that ever excite anybody? Like, does that
No, not at all.
Feels gimmicky.
They shot it on an iPhone 15. Yeah. I'm gonna pre-order my ticket. Like, what?
Is that supposed to excite people? Like, I guess it is. Isn't it? Like, but I've never heard that.
Like, I could do it. I don't know. Like,
well, it could be marketing for Apple too. I mean, now everybody's gonna want to buy a fucking iPhone 15. You know. So
well, it's also shot on an iPhone with about $1 million worth of shit hooked up to it, lighting,
exactly, filters, lighting.
So you're not just going to pull out your phone and shoot a movie, but I mean that's what they did with 28 Days Later. That was shot on just DV. That was just like that's why it looks like shit on Blu-ray now. Which if anybody has any Blu-rays they want to sell, look like they're going for pretty big money right now on eBay.
That's what it reminded me of when I heard that it was shot on. It reminded me of how they filmed the original. Yeah, and I think they did that originally just to kind of, I don't know, give it that realistic feel, to kind of give it a different feel, kind of like, Night of the Living Dead being shot on black and white in '68 to kind of give it that newsreel feel, that type of thing, or Texas Chainsaw, something like that, to give it that documentary
feel. And they continued that, like, even with the Texas Chainsaw remake, which I don't like at all, but they have like that. Then the Saw movies all have that filter. The Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder.
Oh, the Lionsgate filter. Yeah. That's what's the filter everything. everything looks
Lionsgate
washed
filter,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the gimmick around the early 2000s. Yes, Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein watch. Oh, there's a special trailer. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was out. So there you go. But yeah, no.
What do you guys think of Guillermo del Toro? Are you guys fans of his work or not? Like, I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of him more so than I am his movies. Actually, like,
I really enjoyed.
I'm sure you've seen the Sit Down with George, right? Alpha. Have you seen that? Him and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Pan's Labyrinth. That was a really good movie. Yeah, very violent. The scene where he's beating the fucking dude's face in with the beer bottle and all that shit shocked me when I saw it. So.
I like Blade 2.
Labyrinth was good on one
view,
but like I've never had the urge to go back and rewatch it, type of thing. I saw it in the theater when it came out, but I've never actually wanted to go back and be like, I gotta rewatch Pan's Labyrinth. I don't know. It's just something about his movies that just don't click with me all the way. I guess even the Shape of Water that won the Oscar, and after I watched that, I was just like, I mean, it's all right, but
I gotta say the same on that. I think he's a guy that, like, I appreciate what he does, but I just can't. It doesn't resonate with me at all. Like those fantastical style movies like that, for some reason, I just don't like. But I mean, I can clearly see like how other people like them and like how they're really well made. I just don't connect with them for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your first topic, Alpha?
So I guess we're talking about current stuff, and with the Substance coming out, and I've heard a lot of talk. I've heard some rumors about Demi Moore getting nominated for. I think she is nominated for a Golden Globe, and there's rumors about her getting nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress or something like that. So it just got me thinking, like, in a fair world where the Academy Awards, honor horror just as equally as they honor anything else, what are some performances or movies throughout history that you feel like deserved an Oscar nomination, whether it's a performance or a director or just the movie itself, that didn't get any recognition in its day, but you feel like looking back on it, like, yeah, that should have won? I think the biggest one that I can think of, there's two that come right off the top of my head, and that's Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining, Best Actor, which, I mean, I think, people, I think it was nominated for a Razzie or something that year.
It was. It really was. I just talked Jack Nicholson last week.
Yeah, you were talking about it last week. Nicholson in The Shining, and then Anthony Perkins in Psycho. Because Psycho was like, Janet Leigh won the Oscar that year for Best Supporting Actress. I think Hitchcock was nominated for Best Director, but Anthony Perkins wasn't nominated, didn't win dick all or nothing that year. And looking back on it, like, that's an iconic performance. Even just that final shot of him looking down, looking up, I wouldn't even harm a fly.
I would even say just like he's just as good, if not better, in Psycho 2. Like, I would say Psycho 2 was a movie he was snubbed for. I always thought he was like unbelievably good in that too.
He was an Oscar nominated actor too. I think he won an Oscar in '57, I think, prior to doing Psycho, but at the time he just got no love for his performance as Norman Bates in Psycho. So what are some of that come to mind for you guys? I got like a list here that I could go through, but let's say, like, in a fair world, if the Academy Awards were like, Joe Spinell for Best Actor from Maniac, like, come on,
I'm going Joe Pilato. That's what I'm.
Joe Pilato.
That's my choice.
So are we talking about like they were nominated or won? Because I'm not sure if some of these people were nominated. I know they didn't win, but like the ones I'm thinking of.
Just, I mean, no recognition whatsoever. I mean, just the idea that, like, Hitchcock never won Best Picture or never won Best Director. Kubrick never won Best Director. Like, injustices throughout time in the Academy Awards. Because there's over the years, you remember. I don't know if you guys remember when The Devil's Rejects came out, and there was that like online petition to try to get Bill Moseley nominated for Best Supporting Actor that year. Toni Collette from Hereditary. I know you love Hereditary, Grande, but that was a thing going around. They're trying to get her nominated for Hereditary back in the day. So it's like, in a just world, what performance throughout, horror, or what movie throughout horror deserved an Oscar nomination that didn't get it, just pretty much for the simple fact that it was a horror film?
You brought up Toni Collette. That her performance in Hereditary fucking gave me chills. That was incredible. And if I had to choose somebody, yeah, dude.
Hold on. How do you not like Hereditary, Grande? Or
let's have this conversation.
Oh,
all three of us, all three of us against you. Yeah,
we could go down this road. Uncle Bill famously called me a Hereditator. That was just the greatest thing I've ever been called.
So who doesn't like Hereditary? Is it you, Grande, or Uncle Bill?
Oh, it's me. Uncle Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uncle Bill labeled me because I don't like it. I don't know.
Sounds so bad.
I went so hyped going to the theater because everybody, dude, this is one of the scariest movie I've ever seen, and the performances and all that. And I went. I was really excited that night, and I just remember being like, "This is." I didn't find the clicking noise that kid was making, and the pot brownie scene of her getting decapitated, and the son. What a pussy! Oh my god, that kid was terrible. He was.
Remember when he drove home with her head headless, or. Yeah, her headless body in the car and just kind of went to bed.
Well, see, like,
yeah, just fell asleep.
I'm like, that's an odd response. Yeah,
that scene was probably the scariest thing in that whole fucking movie to me because it was the way Ari Aster does shit. He shows you a point of view that you don't normally get to see in horror films or film in general. So when her head gets knocked the fuck off by that telephone pole, like that's shocking. You're just like, what the fuck just happened? Like I did not see that coming. But the following scene after that, where he pulls up to the house and just gets out of the car and just walks into the house, gets into the bed and just lays there. And all you see is him. You're just looking at him this entire time. And all you hear in the background is the parents. And they're just like, oh, where's what's her face? It's like, what's her face? Where's so-and-so? And it's like, oh, she's still out in the car. Right? And then it's just like, it. I don't know. There's something about it that just seems so real. Like that's exactly the hell that you would be in if something like that would happen.
Exactly the same thought I had when I was.
I think Uncle Bill froze.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you froze, buddy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Son of a bitch. Am I back on here yet?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I completely agree with Alpha though. That's the exact same thing I thought though. Was like that's just too real. Like that scene was too real, like and well acted, just about like how you would respond to that. Yeah. But to answer that question though, off topic talking about Hereditary, there's 3 that I thought of immediately when you said that. I don't know if any of these people have been nominated for anything. I know they didn't win though. Sissy Spacek as Carrie, would be one of them. Quint in Jaws, which was Robert Shaw, I think. Shit, I lost the other one. I almost say Foray in Dawn of the Dead, but nobody would believe that. But like, I truly do believe that. Wait, there was the other one. Well, let's go with those 3 for now, so I can think of the other one. But yeah,
those are great picks. I mean, I would say the ones that came to mind for me, actor wise, the first one would be Pamela Springsteen in the Sleepaway Camp sequels. I love her in those movies. I think she's incredible. She's just insane.
You imagine her accepting an Academy Award? That would be the best shit ever.
Yeah, just think the fucking song with the guitar. That would be amazing. Oh my god. I would say Angela Bettis in May would be absolutely one that I would think could be up for an Oscar. Like her performance is fantastic in that. And I know this is one Uncle Bill is a darling of would be Isabelle Adjani for Possession. I thought she did a great job.
Oh my god, dude! I fucking totally forgot about her. Holy shit!
Yep, totally put her up there. Put Sam Neill in there while you're at it. Sam Neill for everything that he's ever done.
Sam Neill for Jurassic Park 3. No, but I'm going to make a prediction. If Alpha has a whole list, I guarantee you he has Dawn of the Dead beating The Deer Hunter for Best Picture.
I mean, that's obvious. I mean, who the fuck
should have? You know who else though? Like right off the top of my head, this is what I was trying to think of. Bruce Campbell, like
sure
in Evil Dead 2, especially.
Yeah, just for the physical aspect of it. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's a good one.
I would say Jeffrey Combs in anything too.
Oh, Jesus, in the first Reanimator, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or even I would even say like Castle Freak. I think he's really good in that because they're all like the trauma of losing their kid.
He's really good.
Barbara Crampton's really good in that too. Like that movie doesn't get enough love to me. Is Castle Freak?
I'll give you one. You would never guess, but when you think about it, you're like, holy shit, like that's a spot on performance. Ed Neal, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
As the hitchhiker. Yeah. Like, there's no, I don't know if anybody's ever played crazy as well as he had. Like, just believably, like, that's a guy that I knew in high school. Like, you know, there was always a guy that's just like, "Hi there, buddy," you know, just doing his thing. Like,
I always joke it reminds me of like a demented James Franco, like the way he looks in the fucking
yeah, that's a good call.
Creepy as hell, man. We just picked up Dracula. I love that line.
What about you were talking about Sleepaway Camp? Don't lose that thought. I gotta talk to you about that in just a minute about Sleepaway Camp too. Remember?
Oh, dude, yeah, no, for real. But what were some of yours, Landrum? Do you have anybody that you think should have won an Oscar?
No, just off the top of my head, I said Joe Pilato. I think his performance was amazing in Day of the Dead, and way over the top. If there was any award I could give him, that would be it. Or anybody that I would choose. I love his performance in Day of the Dead. He's fucking rad.
You saying that made me think of one. What about George Clooney for From Dusk Till Dawn? I think he's
dude,
great in that movie, man.
Yeah, he did an awesome job in that.
That whole speech he has, like, I got 6 little friends and they could all run
faster than you. Yeah.
Love that, man.
Who else I got?
Yeah, what's your list, Alpha?
Well, of course, you got to have, I mean, Ethel from Part 5.
I got a bomb on me!
My final words.
It's the best damn stew in the whole world, mama.
Would you shut the fuck up?
You big dildo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't leave out Ethel for sure.
No. Every single quote she has in that movie is amazing. Everything that comes out of her mouth is instantly quotable. So.
Gold.
It's the best part of that movie. And I love that movie. And she's the best part.
You don't think what I know what they were doing in my yard?
And probably, I still use this one to this day. Holy shit, who the fuck are you and what the fuck do you want?
It's one fucking ugly man.
You ain't so pretty yourself, you know. It could go on. We could just go on for days.
It's the best, man. Rest in peace, Carol Ockentel.
How about Michael Rooker, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer?
100%.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely.
Like, what a fucking performance. Who else I got? You know, you mentioned Pilato. I love Howard Sherman as Bub in Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
He's like the first time you actually like his performance makes you kind of love the monster. It's very Frankenstein, where you feel sorry for him, like you
do.
And he doesn't speak a word other than, you know, hello on Alicia or whatever. But his just feature, and just in the same vein, Amplis and in Martin, sticking with Romero stuff. I love Amplis's performance in Martin.
Yeah. That's a great pick. Scotty and Dawn of the Dead is amazing.
Yeah. That's one I like. Yeah.
Somebody asked me that, like, almost facetiously the other day. They were like, well, who do you think is like good in that movie in terms of the actors? I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah.
Like, I like Foray, Reiniger, like basically everybody in the movie is killer. Like,
Alpha, we gotta ask more of that question.
And Scott Reiniger's performance, I know me and Alpha, we talked about this one time, but Scott Reiniger's performance in that, it was incredible. Like his slow deterioration where he starts kind of losing his mind through the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that his whole, everything he did with that was incredible. And then even when he turned, you know, the way that he was, you know, the whole right there at the end when he was dying after he was bitten, he was so like childlike, you know,
it's
when he
heartbreaking.
was it was heartbreaking. He just did such a good job at that
speech that he get, I'm gonna try not to.
We whipped him, didn't we?
We whipped him and we got it all. Yeah.
And hearing him talk about how much thought he put into that performance, he like the arc of it and who this character was. And he was talking about, like, I had a whole backstory for this character, and like I knew where he was coming from and why he was the way he was and all this stuff. And I'm just like he's definitely like a method actor, like which I guess is why he went on to, you know, direct, you know, stage plays and teach acting and all that stuff after Dawn of the Dead. He didn't do too much film acting after that, but he was, you know,
it's a shame. He should have totally done more film acting to me. I feel like
they all should have. Even David Emge, man. Like if you ever watch like his performance in like The Booby Hatch or
Basket Case 2.
Yeah, or any
I knew you were gonna say that. I was waiting on that. It's like that's loaded in the chamber.
Like when he did like a handful of stuff, but like his range, like he should have had more of a career as a like a character actor, if nothing else, because he could do something over the top, like in Booby Hatch, or or he could play serious, like in Dawn of the Dead. I mean, he played a bumbling goof perfectly in Dawn of the Dead, and he was, farthest thing from that. I mean, he was ex-military, literally ex-military, and like knew what he was doing.
He was
But
like
would
the
always-
only one of them that knew how to use a gun, and he was the
Yeah.
one that had to pretend like he didn't.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But another recent one that I thought of, I've heard people mention before that I think should have gotten some recognition, was Mia Goth in Pearl. I thought she was great in Pearl.
I can't think of Mia Goth anymore without thinking about CK going,
James!
James!
Maybe not Infinity Pool, but
Not
Pearl.
Infinity
like,
Pool.
Pearl was she was great in that. But
That ending shot in Pearl is one of my favorites.
yeah,
Like, you talk about a way to end the movie. Like, that's a way you end the movie right there.
yeah.
She's an
Yeah, that was-
insanely good actress, man. Like, I love Infinity Pool. She's like that scene at James that just gets under my skin so bad, man.
Yep.
You know, I
thought
still
it was
haven't seen. I haven't seen X. I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of those fucking movies. Still haven't seen them.
I
Check 'em
recommend Infinity Pool first if you haven't watched that. I like that more than.
Would you, Grande? Jesus. That's a hell of a one to just walk into, isn't it? Like, not even a warm up.
I'll tell you the
get
moral of the
sick, I
movie
get-
before you even
yeah.
watch it. Just be careful who gives you a hand job on a beach. That's the moral of Infinity Pool.
You'll think about that movie every time you spit on the ground. After that, we'll just say
That was such a-
it's
what a
traumatizing.
Weird.
I heard
scene.
it's a complete mind fuck. I still need to watch it.
It's out there. It's
I
out
like
there.
all of his stuff. Cronenberg's son.
Cronenberg, yeah.
Really good, man.
Yeah.
You got any more on that list, Alpha?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's all that came to mind right off the top
Okay.
of my head. But
We got a couple of comments. Crimson Peak is awful, too long. Okay. Let's see. The tire and rubber was robbed of an Oscar, says the mayor. What's going on?
God
I
damn,
mean-
that's a movie I haven't thought of in years.
Me
The
either.
Rubber.
That's great.
That was, when it came out, it was like talked about and then it just disappeared for sure.
Yeah.
The Undead of Night is here. What's going on? Good brother Tom. I love Del Toro's stuff. Crimson, Shape of Water, Cabinet of Curiosities. Absolutely. For God's sakes, would somebody please hook Grande up with Pamela Springsteen? No, that, if I ever got her to sign this, that would be a really cool day, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm just saying this to piss Grande off. Tony Collette in Hereditary. Okay, yeah. Brad Dourif in Exorcist 3. That's a good pick.
That's a good one, yeah.
That's a great pick. Yeah.
And another
Dourif
one,
is
the same
incredible.
actor in that movie, George C. Scott in The Changeling, I think.
I
be
would
a good
pick
pick.
George C. Scott in that or in The Exorcist 3. I thought he was great in
Yeah.
both those movies.
I just watched The Changeling.
Great
2
actor,
weeks
just
ago
period.
for the show. It was so good, man. The Changeling is a
Mhm.
classic. Speaking of Ethel, how about oh my God, what's the actor?
100%.
Priscilla
Priscilla
Allen?
I can't remember her last
Priscilla
name.
something. She's
Yeah.
I love that. Have you ever seen that, Alpha?
Yeah, I have.
Dude,
You can tell by the way he's like, man, I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's a great movie.
It's
But
fun.
I am
It's
saying it's a
fun.
great movie, actually. Yeah. never
I know
mind.
oh, that's my
you're a
I
huge
watch
fan.
that every Thanksgiving. Like that's my Thanksgiving.
Dude,
party.
seriously?
Absolutely,
everything-
yes.
Dude,
Wow.
it's one of those movies that transcends awful into great. It really does. Like it just
When
does.
she eats the entire like package of Nilla wafers, it's like and the giant baked potato. Oh, she should have won an Oscar
Oh,
for sure. I
yeah,
would agree with
100%.
Would you consider
She's
American
the original
Psycho
Precious.
horror? Yes, I would say Bale was Oscar worthy. What about you guys?
100%.
Yeah, I think, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he did an incredible job in that.
The actor played Matt Cordell in Maniac Cop. Okay.
You talking about Robert Starr?
I think so. Sean Cunningham calls you. He says sorry for all the delays, etc. He wants to know if he should cast Patricia Arquette or Laura Linney as Pamela Voorhees. What do you tell Sean? Thanks, Grande. Well, that's a random question. Give me Laura Linney.
What do you tell Sean?
What do you tell him?
I tell Sean to fucking stop being a greedy prick. That's what I would tell Sean. Nobody voted for Sherry Moon.
Sherry Moon.
The White Horse should have won something. Who is your favorite jokester from the Friday the 13th franchise? I don't know.
Interesting question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, the only one that really pops out to me is Larry Zerner, Shelley in part 3.
Shelley from part 3. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go. Since we love part 5 so much in here, I'll go Reggie the Reckless because he did some pranks too.
He had the
Daniel
plastic
Sturdy,
spider. Yeah.
Children of the Corn. Okay. Gary Busey and the Ginger Dead Man. That's a fucking hot take.
That's great.
I'm so surprised nobody said Corbin Burnson for the dentist. I'm still waiting on that comment, but
one like glaring omission though, to be serious, is Robert Englund in the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Sure.
I mean, 100% that should have won.
Yeah,
something.
No, for sure.
I mean, honest to God, I know you mentioned, we kind of chatted about this earlier. I don't know, a couple days ago when you were doing that Terrifier 3 review, Grande. But David Howard Thornton, like his performance is really the only thing about those movies that I'm captivated by. Like all the other shit around, it's fine, but like he's so fucking good as Art the Clown. Yep. Like I think that's the thing that separates those movies from all the other shit, you know.
Yeah, no, he is really good. I think the lead actress is okay too. The Lauren Lavera, her name is Jake Busey. So this is all of a sudden this has become Busey.
Love.
Yeah.
Silver Bullet Busey. All right.
Dee Wallace is actually pretty good in The Frighteners, I thought.
Yeah, that's true. I like The Frightener. Frighteners is underrated. My first topic, I got a fun one here. I've been recently going to more and more conventions. I had stayed away for a long time, ever since I was a kid, but I'm curious because I know all three of you guys are pretty well traveled to conventions. Give me your best and your worst convention celebrity experience. So has to be with. I'm so curious to hear.
Don't all jump and say Tom Savini at the same time.
Everybody's gonna fucking say Tom Savini.
I was gonna say Apple will not like this probably, but yeah, it's 100%. I know what it is.
Go for it. Somebody take it.
Well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, we've been to a lot of conventions, dude.
Yeah, I gotta seriously think about.
Okay, how about? Well, you guys think I'll tell mine. You don't even have to listen to me. Best off the top, and there's no even question. Would actually be two guys. Number one would be George Romero. That was the first convention I think I ever went to. I might have been 14, maybe 15. And it was like his last show that he ever did. So I'm thankful every day that I got to meet him. The line was like 6+ hours. And I remember he greeted me, took time with me. I was like, this is so freaking cool. Saw my Dawn of the Dead Blue, just the nicest guy, really, really cool. And I was like, man, there's a midnight screening of Dawn of the Dead down the street. Are you going to be there? He was like, hell no, man, I'm going to bed. I remember he said that to me. I was like, I don't know. I was a stupid kid. So I had to ask him that. And I thanked him. I was like, this is my favorite movie ever. Thank you so much. And he was so cool. And the other one was Ampless, just because I couldn't believe how well I hit it off with him at Living Dead Weekend, I think 2023. And like I started talking with him. And next thing I know, it's been like a half hour. And there were people behind me like waiting, but we just hit it off. He signed shit for free. We clicked, man. Me and Ampless. I would say Ampless would be my number 2 favorite.
Ampless is a good one because he's one of those that loves Martin as much as anybody else. Like he can talk about his performance in Martin all day long. Like,
we even we were making fun of Midnight together. Like because I know he hates it. So I was like, oh my God, this would be the perfect, like, let's shit on Midnight. And we did for a good, like 5 minutes. He was like, oh, that movie. It was really fun, man. Both of them couldn't have been better.
I met Ampless like maybe 2 years ago at one of those shows. And you're right, though. He was killer. Like he was like immediately like super nice, engaging. He would talk to you about whatever. Like he's a great guy just in general, it seems like to me.
Yeah. If you get him going about Martin, he won't stop either. He loves talking about
Martin. That's what we were talking about. I met him right around when that Second Sight came out. So however long ago that was. And like that's what we spent the time talking about, was that release and everything about it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I've got him in my head. If you're ready.
Go for it.
The best experience I've consistently had a good experience with this person, because I've met her 3 or 4 times, because for some reason my kids really love to meet her too. But Felissa Rose, like she's consistently like one of the nicest people in the world, and she's like super hyped, or at least she acts super hyped to like talk to people and like engage with people and take pictures. And like if you bring your family or whatever, she'll like take group pictures. She doesn't charge, she'll just take pictures. She doesn't go in for all that shit. She just kind of like does whatever she wants to do, and she's super, super friendly. Okay, so that's my pick for like the best overall experience I've had with somebody. Although there's been many good ones, like that one just pops out in my mind. by far and away, the worst overall experience I ever had was Savini. Like, there's not even anybody close when I think about it, really. The only other guy that's close is Richard Lynch, who ripped my poster in half. And I still think that
he's a
Savini
close
was
second.
worse. Yeah.
Wait, what? I gotta hear that story. What?
So I took Richard Lynch before he passed away, probably about 2 years before he passed away. I met him and I had an Invasion USA poster. And it's like one of my favorite action films from when I was a kid. And he was blown out of his mind, like clearly on drugs, alcohol, something. I don't know, something. But like, he was like, you know, when I went up to him, he could barely like keep himself up and he could barely talk. But I handed him my poster and he immediately tried to unfold it and just ripped it like straight down the center. And then was like, oh, whoops. And then just like opened it up. And he was like, he was like fucking Chuck Norris, that piece of shit. Like, it's just like talking all this crazy shit, like drunk. And like, then he signed it, you know, and it was ripped in half and he like gave it back to me. And his handler guy was like beside of him. Who is that guy that runs Days of the Dead? That was his handler at the time. Bill Philpott. Is that his name? Mm-hmm. Anyway, he runs the Days of the Dead convention. He was like, come over here. And like, he motioned me over there. He's like, you don't have to pay for that. Like, don't worry about it. Like, cause he saw the whole thing like go down. He's like, just we're sorry or whatever. And, but no, man, Savini was like, the problem with Savini was that was the couple things. It was the first celebrity I ever met ever in person. He's the first guy I went up to because like, that was the guy that I wanted to meet the most besides Romero that was at that show. The second biggest problem is that he couldn't have given a shit less of what I had said. It couldn't have given less of a shit at all. I don't think it was possible unless he crawled underneath the table and just like ignored me. Like, yeah. But he was eating a plate full of cheese. I remember this distinctly. He was eating a fucking plate full of cheese. And as I'm like trying to like talk to him about Maniac or some movie that he worked on, he's just like, he's just eating the cheese, like, and like just me to death. And then I was like, well, I asked him something. He was like, oh yeah, it's the best fun I've ever had standing up. And he's like, and then he just like signed something. That's like, he must probably say that phrase 1,000 times to like people that he just doesn't want to engage with. And then he just signed it and I walked off. And that was like my first convention experience. And it stuck with me ever since. So yeah, fuck that guy.
I'm shocked it didn't disgruntle you from like going to more conventions. What a horrible person.
Well, like the interesting thing was everybody else I met that day made up for it because it was all the Day of the Dead people who were all killer, all the Dawn of the Dead people who were all killer, Romero, and then like a couple other people I can't remember, but it was all the rest of it was great. But yeah, had I just left on that, I'd probably I'm never coming back doing anything.
Totally. That's crazy.
Savini was the first guy that I went up to in 2008 at Texas Frightmare Weekend, my first convention. I was like, I'm here. And I mean, it was Savini and Ramirez were our first, my first and only time meeting George. I mean, all the Dawn people, the Day people, the Night of the Living Dead people. I met, Bill Heinzman and George Casana, who are no longer with us, and Sharon Hill and Clayton Hill was there. Those are two that like were just the coolest, nicest people you could ever meet. But at that same show, though, there's a couple that come to mind just from that show. I guess it's just that was my first one. So looking back on it, I have a certain fondness for it. But probably outside of Savini, one of the worst people that I ever met at a convention. This is a random weird ass name, but it was 2008 and people were signing shit for $10. And I was just going around being like, hey, will you sign this? And I was a fan of the movie that I wanted her to sign the thing for. But it's Coralina Cataldi Tassoni or whatever the fuck how you pronounce your name from Demons 2 and Opera. And I went up to her table and nobody was at her table. Nobody gave a shit. And she was just there. And I think she was promoting an album or something she just recorded, like a CD because I guess she was a singer too. And I walk up to her table. I'm like, hey, I'm a really big fan of your work in Demons. I really, big fan. I'm glad to see you. Yada yada. And she just looked at me and she was just like, oh, well, do you know my music? And I was like, oh, no, I didn't even know you did music. That's really cool. Do you sing? She was like, oh, well, some fan you are if you don't even know that I this is what I do mostly. Shit. Like, I don't even act anymore. This is what I do now. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And I just picked up my shit and just walked away. I was like, what a bitch. I'll never forget that. But another experience I had that same year with Tom Atkins. I know that you've had your experience with Tom Atkins before.
I didn't have a bad experience with Atkins.
Was it CK that
did.
got the,
CK
maybe I will, maybe I won't.
And that quote has lived on for like 15 years now. But yeah. But no, I had a really good experience with him, actually.
I did too. At Texas Frightmare Weekend that year, he was there. And me and my cousin were there. We were just talking to him, and I think he signed something for my cousin. We were just talking, and right next to him, one of the other big celebrities that were there that year was Elvira. Elvira was there for one day only, Saturday, one day only. So she had this long line, and we're already a couple hours into the open of the convention, and she still hasn't shown up. Like, she's still not there. She's still not there. And she's got all these people in line. And we're sitting there talking to Tom Atkins. Like I said, we're right next to her. And all of a sudden she comes walking in with her entourage and she's all done up and everybody's clapping and cheering, because it's like, finally she's arrived. And I'm like, I don't care. And Tom Atkins just looks over at her. She walks in and Tom just, it's about time you showed up, you bitch, or something. And me and my cousin just fucking cracked up. She just looked at Tom just like, what did you call me? And Tom he was pissed. He was just like, how dare you just fucking stroll in 2 hours late? We'll have all these people waiting. He's just like, it's about time you showed up, you fucking bitch. And I was just like, damn, Tom is grumpy. Then meeting Tom again, Tom's a grumpy man. And meeting him again at Living Dead Weekend this past June, I was getting 8x10 signed for Matt, actually. And we walked up there, and he's old as hell now, and he can't hardly hear shit. So my buddy Will, we're standing up there, and he's signing the thing. He's like, all right, who do I make this out for? I'm like, oh, it's for my buddy Matt and his wife Stephanie and his son. And he's just like, he just looks at me. He's like, God damn, how many people we got involved in this thing? And it's like, oh, he's just making a joke, And then Will's just like, oh, well, I'm from Bowling Green, where John Carpenter's from. And he just looks at Will, and he's like, what? I'm from Bowling Green, where John Carpenter's from.
What? Somebody stole my car.
You're what? John Carpenter? Yeah, I worked with John Carpenter. What about it? And he's like, I'm from Bowling Green, where he's from. What? And it's just like going back and forth. I could see Will just getting like, how do I get out of this? Like, he's not hearing or understanding what the hell I'm saying. And he's just like, all right, well, that's cool, man. And he signs the thing, and he's like, all right.
Didn't he yell at you once, Alpha? Like you asked a question, and then he was like, raise your hand.
No, that was Savini. Right? That was Savini. Yeah.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
That was Savini. Our first panel discussion. It was him and Nicotero. And that was the first, like I say, first convention, first time getting to see, talk, hear these people that I've just crazy about for years, And he's like, all right, well, we'll open it up. Anybody got any questions? And just me not knowing, just being nervous and just being like, all right, well, nobody else is speaking up. I just say, well, what was it like working with Joe Spinell? Or, and he just looks at me dead on. I don't think it was as bad as it was looking back on it, but in my mind, it's just him. He just stares right at me and points his finger at me and just says, raise your hand. And I was just like, yes, sir. And I raised my hand, and he calls on me, and he's like, okay, go ahead, ask your question. I'm just like,
Jesus,
God damn. But I bumped into Savini outside of like in the whole, like the hotel lobby. I bumped into Savini at the hotel lobby at the Doubletree in Monroeville, and he's the nicest guy. He was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. Excuse me. Are you here for the show?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a big fan." He's like, "Oh man, that's awesome, man. I'll see you there." And I'm like, "Oh, cool, thanks, Tom." And then I go and see him, and he's just like, "Hey, whatever."
And isn't that weird how he does that? Because it's like when you go to his table, it's so transactional, right?
Yeah.
Then, like I saw him at the Barnes and Noble, last year, Living Dead Weekend. And he was like, I was wearing a Night of the Living Dead hoodie, and he saw me and my family. He was really cool. Like, we spoke, really polite and sweet. But then at his table, he's a fucking prick. I just don't understand. I
don't think he likes Marks.
It's all business.
I don't think he likes Marks at all.
Yeah,
like
I think that's what it is.
That walks up to his table, he sees you as like a mark, and he just automatically like does not want anything to do with you.
Yeah. Or just assumes that you're gonna like sell his autograph. You're just trying to make money off of his autograph, and it's just like at this point you've done so many conventions and signed so much shit. Your autograph really isn't worth that fucking much, Tom.
No, like, it wouldn't be worth anything
everywhere.
At this point. Yeah. It's like Kane Hodder's autograph. It's worth nothing. I promise.
Yeah, but he's still charging fucking $100 at convention.
Yeah, like $80. Yeah, which is insane, dude. I was he's not worth that, man. But how about you, Landrum? How about best and worst for you?
All right, so worst experience. take a wild fucking guess.
Tom Savini?
Tom Savini. So it was my first convention I ever went to 2019, Charlotte, Days of the Dead. I walk in the convention, and I know I'm going there to see Tony Todd, and I'm going to see Kane Hodder, and I'm going to see fucking Tom Savini. I'm super stoked. We walk in, I look over, there's Tom Savini sitting at a table with his arms crossed, nobody around, doesn't have a fucking handler or anything.
I bet he had a scarf on, though.
He didn't have a fucking scarf.
Oh, he didn't have a scarf that time?
He didn't have a scarf. He was just by himself twiddling his thumbs. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. I can't believe Tom Savini's sitting right there. Like, first person I've ever, like, he's going to be the first autograph. I've got my original Day of the Dead poster that I've had since I was like 12. Fucking super stoked. Got to the table. I was like, thank you so much, sir. It's so good to meet you. And he just literally was like, okay. Signed his fucking name. I paid him. And I was just like, I was stunned. And, they say don't meet your heroes. And that was like the first hero that I ever met. And I was so pissed, dude. I was like, this motherfucker. But what's funny is like when my wife and kid came over, he lit right up. And he stood up and was taking selfies with us and shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, who are you?
What am I,
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard if you bring a good looking woman
chick,
with you, he's like, oh, what's up?
It fucking changes his whole demeanor.
Yeah.
So, but
dude's like 80.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick up women at conventions.
So, but yeah, he was one of the worst experiences. The second one, which I was able to kind of redeem this year, was actually Scott Reiniger. When I first met Scott last year, 2023, right? Yeah, I keep getting my years confused. He had a whole line of people at his table, and I had my gas mask. I had all kind of shit for him to sign, and he was talking to somebody and signing something for somebody in front of me, and I had all my stuff. And I wasn't like putting it down for him to sign. I just had a lot of shit in my hand. Like I had a big box and a poster too. I was just sitting it down at the table to get ready for him to sign. And he literally fucking stopped the conversation he was having with the person in front of me, looked at me and said, wait, like that, like a fucking, like my dad or something. And I was like,
you got the Savini treatment like I got.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. But what do you say? I'm not going to fucking argue with Scott Reiniger. I'm not going to be like, dude, I'm fuck you. I'm not, I'm here to pay you money, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say that. So I was just like, okay, but anyway, but meeting him this year was completely different. Like he was super warm, and I made sure to put my shit down way over here instead of like in front of him and kind of wait my turn, So, so those were kind of my two, I guess, worst experiences that I had. But one of the best experiences that I've had was, I mentioned Tony Todd. Meeting Tony Todd in 2019, like it was sort of the same situation with Savini. Like I walked in and there was nobody at his table. He was like by himself. He had a handler, but there wasn't any kind of line or anything like that. And he was just super warm right away. Stood up from his table and walked around and was talking to me. I was able to tell him the story about, when I was a freshman in high school, in my drama class, we had to come up with a monologue from something. And I chose his monologue from Night of the Living Dead 1990 as Ben, when he's standing over the fireplace and he breaks the stick while he's giving his little monologue speech there. And I told him that, and he lit up so much. Like he was so excited to hear that and was like, how did it go? Like, was genuinely excited to hear about that. And so that was a really, really cool experience. Another one was John Harrison. I'm not going to fuck up this time and say John Williams, Alpha.
John Williams?
So on one of the streams we did, we were talking about John Harrison, and I slipped up and I had fucking Star Wars on my head, and I said John Williams instead of John Harrison. But meeting John Harrison was awesome. He was super warm and kind and polite, and I had my kid with me, and he really wanted him in the photo with us, and talked for a long time. So that was a really good experience getting to meet him and speak with him. Bill Moseley was the same way. Like he insisted that my family be in the photo with us. So like he refused to take a picture with me unless my wife and kid were in the photo. So yeah, those are some of my favorites. But yeah, Tom Savini by far is I don't know, dude. Like, I've met him twice, and I'm done. Like, I've got him to sign.
Isn't that like three of us? Like, that's the immediate person that comes to mind. Like,
it's crazy that all of you met like the first person all of you met too. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably because nobody was at his table at the time, and we were just like,
exactly what it was.
Time to go get him, you know.
Nobody was at his table at that convention I was at either. Yeah, I just walked up to him.
I've heard, so many horror stories because just a couple months ago I met him. Finally, I went to Chicago Days of the Dead, and I had a great day. I had a great fucking day. I mean, we had me and AJ had fucking deep dish pizza, Giordano. I met the lady from the Grudge, Ju-on movies, Chicago Fuji. Like, it was just a great. I was glowing. I fucking turned the corner. There he is. No handler. He's sitting. I'm like, I've heard so many stories. And Alpha knows this. When I met him in Living Dead weekend, I said, he's not ruining my day. I've heard so much shit. Like,
you avoided him on purpose.
Yourself, like, if you hear all these bad stories, why would you want to have that happen to you? So I always avoided him at any other convention. But I was like, nothing could bring me down today. So I just went up to him. And I just tried to keep it as usually I try to make small talk, like, how's the ride in? Or I'm such a big fan. I literally went, can I get a selfie with you? He went, oh, you'll have to wait. My handler's not here. It was like awkward silence. And he went, nah, forget it. Just sit down. And we took the picture. He took the phone out of my hand. He took the picture.
Oh, yeah.
He smashed my phone. We had one take, and he went, there you go. I went, all right, thanks. He went, you too. Have a nice day. And that was it. It was like the most, I was like, I'm just not. Because it goes wrong for people when you go, oh, so Dawn of the Dead. That's just going to be like,
whatever you do, don't mention any movie that he's ever worked on to him. Don't. That's your first mistake. Don't do it. Say anything else. I'm pretty sure.
So the moral of the story is, when you meet Savini, make sure he's in drag, that you're in drag, so he's nice to you. Absolutely. Yeah. I should have just
my work.
When you have a bad experience, the cases are two, or you have a good person on a bad day, or Tom Savini. Yeah, it's Tom Savini. My worst. It's a shame because I was another guy. I wouldn't have been Savini just because I really didn't give him a chance to fuck it up for me. It was literally up.
You were just in and out.
30-second. Like, I was like, this will be a funny picture, and people will be like, oh my God. Would have been Ken Foree. And even though I've heard nothing but good about Ken, and it really wasn't anything I did, it was the guy in front of me. So he had like a fucking smorgasbord of shit to sign, a textbook, 3 posters. He's just spamming this stuff, and he was the only guy on the line. So I was like, all right, it's one guy, I'll wait. So I'm waiting. The guy didn't have enough money, and I could see like Ken got pissed, and
that's
like
the last thing you want to do at a show.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't have enough money. And the handler's like, what do we do? And Ken was already signing.
What do we do?
And they were like, what? And I was like, oh my God. And then of course, and I was like, hi, I'm John. Nice to meet you. You know, my dumb ass. I'm always like so positive and happy. And and he was just like, yeah. Like, he just was not. If you look at the picture we took together, it looks like a prison photo. He just like this fucking goof in a Mets outfit. Like, it was such a letdown because I was like, oh, I just want to let you know your performance in Dawn. It's one of my all-time favorite performances. And he's like, what's your name? And I was like, Grande. You can sign it to Grande. He was like, what? And I was like, Grande. I spelled it out for him. And then he took the picture of me. It's just a really sad picture. It was like such a letdown. I see him later that night. He's like 9 o'clock. I'm calling it a night. I'm going to my hotel room. He gets off the elevator, and I think he had just blazed or something because he was high. And he comes out, and I was like, Ken. And he went, hey, good morning. I was like, it's fucking 9 o'clock at night. Like, what the fuck? And he just walked right past me. I was like, all right, bye, Ken. Like, weird. I got to do with Landrum. I got to get a redeemer in there where I'm just going to go before. If I see somebody fucking up in front of me, I'm just going to be like, I'll come back. Like, that's it. That was the person in front of me. It's really not. I've never heard a bad word about Ken Foree. So that was really more the person in front of me that fucked it up. But yeah, no, I'm honestly surprised they asked Savini to conventions just because he's had such bad. I don't know. Money talks, and there's always a market to meet him. But you're right. It's not like his autograph's worth anything anymore. But Landrum, what do you got for us next, buddy? What's topic number 2 for you?
Oh, topic number 2. Okay. I had kind of an easy one. So let me put this out to you guys. I'll let you guys choose between these 2 topics. So super easy one. I was going to ask what your favorite Argento kill or death of all time is. So that's one. The second one that I was thinking about, you guys choose. I wanted to talk about Phantasm, but more specifically Phantasm sequels. So, the original Phantasm is kind of universally heralded as sort of like an American classic. It's kind of unfuckwithable, right? But nobody ever talks about the sequels anymore. At least not that I hear of. So I was going to ask you guys what you thought about the sequels, if you had a favorite sequel. We're not going to fucking talk about Ravager. That's a piece of shit. That doesn't even get counted.
That's a piece of shit.
But 2 through 4, what you guys thought? So you choose. You want to talk about Argento? Do you want to talk about Phantasm? I don't care. Flip a coin.
Maybe we could do it both, could we?
Yeah, you can run
let's just
through
fucking
both.
do both.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Start Argento,
Okay.
and we'll go Phantasm after that.
Honestly, the Argento question's harder than I thought it was. Like, because you got to go through in your head like this Rolodex of all these kills and like.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I'll go with mine. So
yeah.
So my favorite Argento kill of all time is Opera. It's going to be the gunshot through the peephole. And that whole slow motion scene where he's pretending he's doing the best he can to try to trick her to open the door. That is so terrifying to me. He's got his badge in front of the peephole, and he's kind of like waving it so she can't really see it, and she's obviously terrified behind the door. Let me see your face. And as soon as she puts her face in the door, he fucking cocks the gun and pulls it. It's just so violent.
That's also the one where like she thought he was really trying to kill her.
Yeah.
Like if you watch that interview, Dario was like, by how much like explosive they put on her, like he thought that Argento was really trying to kill her because they were going through a divorce and all that shit.
Yeah.
At the time.
He may have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that whole scene was just incredible, and how beautiful that was too. Like the slow motion, and then you see the phone on the ground in the background, and the bullet goes through, and you see the phone exploding where it hit the phone, and that whole thing was just incredible to me, and so violent. I don't know. It's not a bloody kill. It's not a stab or a slit or anything like that. It's just fucking gunshot through the eyeball. It's just so brutal and violent and quick. I love it.
Yeah, that's an awesome pick.
This is much more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Right?
Yeah. I got like a bunch going through my head right now.
An easy one. I'm sorry.
I'll say one that no one else probably would mention. I would say in Sleepless, that opening scene on the train when it's just the stalk and slash, and then gets her fingers chopped off. Like the way that all plays out. I remember when I first watched that movie, I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Nobody talks about this movie. Like what?" Like that blew me away. And the second one that comes to mind is in Tenebrae, where you have the two girls and they're roommates, I guess, and he uses that crane shot. Like he'll go from the base floor to the second floor.
Yeah, the whole house.
The way that's fucking done. I mean, I think that's some of the best stuff ever. Those would be like the two that come right to my mind for sure.
I love the one in Tenebrae with the Jane character when she's sitting there at the table with the gun, waiting.
That's what I was gonna
say. That's the one that I was gonna. That's the one I was gonna pick.
And she just like sprays the wall, and it's so. I don't know, not natural to do that, but it's literally just like I'm spraying this like beautiful portrait or something.
But that's the thing, but that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a painting. That's what I think is so cool about Argento. He uses these different color palettes, and Tenebrae is very much red on white. That whole movie, right? And that's what I loved about that scene when he chops her hand off, and then she just fucking sprays blood all over this white wall.
Just fans it.
Incredible.
That's the word. Yeah. She fans it across the wall. That one popped into mind. I mean, Suspiria. I mean, the opening 15 minutes of that, the kills. I mean, just the close up of the knife going into the beating heart. It's like so out there, but it's so cool. But one that I think nobody really thinks of, but I think is kind of a cool ending to the movie is Four Flies on Grey Velvet.
Dude, I swear to God, like that was the other one I was thinking of too. I was like, that ending scene is like it stuck with me ever since I've seen it. So,
it's just that slow motion car crash and that weird music under it, and it's just slow motion decapitation, and it's just like, what the fuck? But it's satisfying because it's like, all right, that's how I wanted her to go. Very, very well. Good ending. That one's a great one. God, there's so many.
There's so
I mean, the mad puppet scene.
Oh,
that's like a great set piece. That whole thing, the way that's all set up too, like that's all instantly memorable. But
one that always stuck with me, and I don't know why, is that I think it's a scene in Cat o' Nine Tails when the guy gets thrown down the elevator shaft and his hands rubbing against the cables and just the smoke coming off of his hand. That just fucked me when I saw that. I was like, I can't do that. That's one that stands out.
How about the chimpanzee decapitation?
I thought about that too. I was like, that's just out there, like wild,
fucking chimp.
There's a lot. You could make a fucking top 20 list of best Argento.
I'm sure somebody has.
Yeah.
Don't forget about all the killer death scenes in Dracula 3D. I always want to bring that up.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you what, though.
Not that bad.
I didn't remember it being as graphic and violent as it is, but man, Mother of Tears is
it is
Mother of Tears.
Brutal. Like it
with the tooth scene with that thing that like
gets
jammed into her mouth. Yeah, that scene always messed with me, man.
The scene that messed with me when I first saw that movie, I wasn't expecting it. Like my guard was down. Was the lady? She's just holding her baby, and she just goes on the bridge, and I'm watching, and then fucking I was like, what the fuck? I remember I just like got off my couch and just grabbed my head. I was like, what the hell? It's just like this dummy baby.
Yeah, but something about that when I first watched that movie, because when it first came out, 2007, came out on DVD. I rented it from Blockbuster. I was like, holy shit, it's the third of the Three Mothers trilogy. I got to see this. And I was watching it, and for some reason, when it got to that scene, when I saw her throw that fucking baby off the bridge, I turned it off and I took it back. I did not want to finish that movie. I was just like, this is not, I don't want to watch that. Like, that's disturbing. I don't know, something about killing babies is just too much. That's too far for me. This is 2007, you know, like now that I have a child, it's definitely something that I don't care to see is like kids getting killed. But even then, like I was 19 at the time when I saw that in 2007 when I rented it. And even then I was just like, God, I don't want to watch this. Then I finally went back and rewatched it, and then like as it went on, I mean, it's a pretty, I mean, it's like Terrifier level, like some of the violence in that movie, like
the Udo Kier death. Yeah, that's like totally Terrifier violent. Which
just so it's so over the
fever, like it never stops. That's awesome. I love that movie. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
You know, not to get too far off topic, but you were talking about killing kids. I remember when I was a kid.
We're gonna segue into this now.
We're gonna segue into. So when I was a kid,
best kid death in a movie. Let's go.
One of the first films that I saw when I was a kid that fucking shocked the hell out of me was Coscarelli's Beastmaster.
Oh yeah.
And when they were sacrificing the children, throwing them into the fire, I remember being a kid and being like, "Holy shit!" Like they
can do that. Yeah,
they can do that in a movie.
Yeah, that's rough. Like seeing that as a kid. Like I don't remember. Like there are those moments in movies that I remember seeing when I was a kid that I know scarred me. Like I remember to this day. Like I can't think of the name of the movie, but it's the movie where the chick gets raped on the pinball machine.
Oh,
Gutterballs.
No, you're talking about the Jodie Foster one, aren't you?
I can't remember. I've never watched it since, but I remember seeing that when I was like 5, just accidentally because it was on TV, and I remember seeing that, and I was just like,
raped on the pinball.
Scarred me. Isn't that
they fucking parodied it on South Park. I remember when that came out, but
of course they did.
I think it was the episode where George Lucas was.
Is it The Accused? The Accused.
There you go. Yeah, I remember seeing that when I was a kid, and it fucking. So there's like those things you see when you're a kid that like they can scar you. I think because I do remember to this day, and it's nothing I ever want to go back and really rewatch, revisit. Like Boys Don't Cry is another one I remember seeing really young, and the ending of that, I was just like,
that's
fuck? Like,
what about
are you watching?
Culkin and My Girl getting stung to death by fucking.
That's another one that like
What was the one? The Good Son when he falls off the cliff at the
end of the movie?
That fucked me up when I was a kid. Yeah,
seeing fucking Kevin McAllister falling off a cliff was like, what?
Well, seeing him being a fucking psychopath first of all, and then dying. Yeah.
There's I don't know. I think about that sometimes, like some of the stuff I used to watch when I was a kid, and like how it kind of affected me, but like not in a bad way. Like I knew that it was bad. Like it's not enjoyable. Like. And it's like stuff that I probably wasn't meant to see, but I was young and I was one of those kids that like would watch HBO during the day when parents weren't home, or I would find like a video, like because my dad used to rent movies and just record them onto a blank tape 3 at a time, and I just go through and watch them and see what was on there, and who the fuck knows what I came across pornos when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And like and it's just like
that's how I came across Basic Instinct. My dad had Basic Instinct on VHS, and I was like,
of course he did.
Of course he did.
Probably wore it out. Like,
Oh shit, I got a story. So fucking my dad had like a ton of VHSs, and I would always like, that was what I watched growing up was VHSs. We didn't get DVD till later. And I remember, he had a section of like horror movies. So I was always hitting that up. He had, for randomly though, it was like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit VHS was in there. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why is this over here in like the horror section? So I was like, fuck it, I'll put it in. And it was like Shreve, like lesbian porn. I was like,
whoops.
Yeah.
And it said
I have to relabel that one.
It's labeled like with pen. It said "Who Framed Roger Rabbit?"
It's a good cover.
I'm like, is this a cover? Like, is this fucking...
maybe not the best idea for the.
They never let him live that down. I always tell him about. He's like, motherfucker, you shouldn't have been in the...
I got one that I remember watching when I was a kid that kind of fucked me up. And see, you might know what this one is. I can't remember what it is. I don't know what the hell it was, where it came from, or what it was. But I do remember specifically. It's a hot blonde woman. I think she was blonde. It's a hot woman that goes out, picks up a guy, and she takes him back and ends up biting off his dick. And she's like a robot. Maybe I dreamed that. I don't know, but I remember seeing that when I was a kid, and I remember thinking like, "What the hell? She just bit his wiener off." Like, what?
Is it still in lace?
That could be.
Is it the Untold Story?
No, that's Asian.
Oh,
no, it wasn't Asian. No, I don't know. I remember seeing it.
I'm trying to remember if
early 90s. It had to be like early 90s.
Early 90s. Blonde robot penis biter.
Type that into your Google search.
I mean, yeah.
The FBI will be
I've tried. I have Googled that. I swear to God. Movie where hot girl bites off dick. And I can't find it. And then there's another movie where, I don't know. I'm having fucking, issues over here. There's another movie I remember seeing when I was a kid about, there was like a woman putting frozen French fries back into the freezer. And then some guy coming into the house, killing her in front of her child. And he's like upstairs.
That's really specific. Frozen French fries into the freezer.
I don't know why, but it stuck with me. Like I said, it's scarring from childhood, I guess. I don't know, but
and then somebody comes down and like kills her in front of her kid.
Yeah, the kid's looking. He's upstairs looking down, and the killer comes up and looks at him, and the kid, they share a moment, and then the killer just leaves. I remember seeing that when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't want to watch any more of this.
I just saw that recently, oddly enough. So that is either going to be, it's one of those exploitation style movies like the Don't Go in the House, like similar to that. But I can't remember.
So I'm not making it up then, because a lot of this shit I remember, because I can't think what the hell the movie was.
No, because I can remember the scene of the killer looking at the kid like that. Like I remember that. I don't remember her putting up frozen French fries, but I do remember like
maybe I made that part up, but yeah, but I do remember.
Although I should remember that.
Oh my God!
You know how you get memories mixed up from when you were a kid.
Dude, that was the fucking. I know what it was. It was that the guy that strangles everybody. That's like the fucking creep that has Jennifer Jason Leigh movie.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Come on, the Jennifer Jason Leigh. She's like her first movie where she's deaf.
Eyes of a Stranger.
Eyes of a Stranger. That's what that movie is.
Okay.
I guarantee it because I just watched that not too long ago.
Sorry, there was so much traffic. Like,
sorry, I went down a weird road. I don't know how we got from Argento to that, but I was
we were supposed to go to Phantasm sequels. The next, you had the French fries and a bit of.
We started talking about dead kids.
She was blonde.
That's it. Yeah, dead kids. And then
I think. Don't hold me to that, but I watched that movie not too long ago for an exploitation show, and I'm fairly certain there's a scene in there like that. If it ain't that one, then it's Don't Go in the House. But it's one of those two movies. I'm about positive.
I love Don't Go in that. That's a fucking terrifying movie, dude. Don't Go in the House that one always gets me. But what about the Phantasm sequels?
Oh yeah, the Phantasm sequels. Okay, so here's the way I look at Phantasm 1 and 2. Phantasm is Alien and Phantasm 2 is Aliens.
Yes.
Like I've always looked at it that way. Like the second one's more of like an action film.
It is.
The first one's more of like a sci-fi film. I've always loved both those movies. And even the third one where they got the little stupid Home Alone kid that throws like frisbees and shit at people with razor blades.
The razor blade frisbee.
I still, for some reason, love that movie. And the fourth one to me is actually like a really great independent film that should have been where they just let it go.
That should have been where it ended
right there. And
it's the perfect ending. Was it all a dream?
It's a perfect coda. And then everything with the incorporation of the original footage from the original movie. And then at the very end when he's like, well, what was that sound? It's the cut footage and it's him and Reggie on the truck, which obviously this is playing in Mike's mind, right? But he's like, oh, it was just the wind. And then they drive off into the darkness. That's it. Cut it. Like, that's it. fucking leave it right there. We don't need a Ravager. We don't need all that bullshit later. This new book that just came out that Reggie and Gigi put out or whatever, and all this extra shit. We don't need all that. Like, that's the perfect ending right there.
The fourth one is so interesting too, because that's generally, to me, a big like cardinal rule in horrors: never over-explain. And they go into like the origin, and they give Jebediah Morningside
just a little bit though.
I remember when I was like, that will never work, and then I saw the movie and I was like, they fucking found a way to make it work. Like, I thought it was actually really well done in that. And I don't know, I always really liked the cast in all those movies. I agree completely with Uncle Bill. It's Aliens, or Terminator 2. It's like very similar to that. You know, the first Phantasm was always my favorite, like without a doubt. But I like all the sequels too, other than Part 5, which I don't even could mention. But I think Part 4 is super underrated. I think that's one that gets the worst rap for some reason. And I don't
just low budget. I think it's just because it's lower budget, but like it's still really good. Like, even at that budget level, it's still a really good movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much where they completely run out of money by that point to make these films, which is why you didn't see another one for years and years and years. And
I think even he said he ran out of ideas, right? Like Don Coscarelli famously said, I was out of ideas when I made that movie, but it's still it just works because it had I think it's the closest feeling to the first one is the fourth one. Yeah. It like has that like that dream feel to it, and I don't know, I thought it was really, really good in that regard. So yeah, I agree. It should have been stopped there, and then maybe after Bubba Hotep he should have retired. Maybe I don't know, but I like Coscarelli.
Go out, yeah.
What I didn't like also was the transition from James LaGrosse back to Mike. Well, I wish they would have just stuck with Michael Baldwin in Part 2. I wish they would have found a way to bring him back with Reggie. But
that was a studio thing, though, wasn't it? Like the studio wanted,
They had a choice. It was either Reggie or a fresh face. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So whichever one they wanted to choose. So they wound up keeping Reggie and then hiring a new guy, a new handsome dude to play Mike. But but he was. In Part 2, he was still kind of like a hard ass, like tough. And then in Part 3, when they brought Michael Baldwin back, I don't know if it was the way that it was written or if it was his acting, but he was a giant pussy the whole movie. But then in Part 4, he was kind of a fucking hard ass again. So I don't know. It was just sort of this weird kind of disjointed thing.
I think Reggie Bannister sort of seals the third movie. Like, I love all the shit where he's trying to bang that one lady through the whole. He's like,
he's trying to bang
please
everybody.
Sleep outside, please. Like, I'm begging you. Like, I love that. Like, I thought that was really funny too. I really want to rewatch those movies now. I don't go back and watch them enough. The Phantasm.
It's been a long time since I've seen the sequels. I watched Phantasm probably once a year because to me Phantasm is like the American version of Suspiria.
Like
it's very
You know, do you know that when I met Coscarelli, that's what I asked him? Like, I was like, was that an influence at all? Was Suspiria an influence at all to you, like when you made Phantasm? And because he and I were talking about the lighting and the similarities in the lighting and stuff between the two films and things like that. But I don't think it's as much of it wasn't a influence on him as much as I thought, from what I could gather. But he did watch a lot of like Italian films and things like that. So,
well, it's just like it's the way Argento does Suspiria. It's like very dreamlike, very nightmarish, and that's the brilliance of the first Phantasm. That is, it is all a dream. Like it's and the way that he tells it's shit right out of your dreams. Like the scene where the tall man's walking down the street, slow motion, and he stops there by the ice cream truck and just kind of breathes in the frosty air and just stares at Michael across the road. And he's just like, that's something right out of your nightmares. Just a guy standing across the street staring at you, clear as day, and then turning.
I've had that nightmare. I've had that nightmare as a kid.
Yeah, you know just simple shit like that. The way he does that. And then at the end, it turns out that it was all just a dream, and it was Michael's way of coping with the loss of his brother and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I feel like, honestly, that's where it should have ended. But, you know, they did sequels, and I like Part 2. Part 2 is really fun. Part 3 was one that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid, because I think that was one of those movies that was always on the Sci-Fi channel back in the day.
It was always on HBO.
Yeah, HBO. But I've actually never seen any of them past that, Ravager or anything like that, because I just assumed that it was just cheap shit. So I just stopped after 3.
You haven't seen Oblivion? You haven't seen Part 4? Oh man, check it out! I'm telling you,
you're correct. You're correct about Ravager, though.
Don't see Ravager. Don't even.
I own them. I own all of them, but I've just never gotten around to checking out 4. So,
no, that's understandable. I think the first one I watch every October, but the sequels I definitely should rewatch more, because it's really, if they hadn't made 5, that's a really, really good franchise. Like, I like all of them. You know, so that's definitely.
I think basically, if I'm understanding correctly, and somebody out there can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ravager was originally going to be like segmented, like a web series. Like I think they were going to have episodes, and then I think they just pieced it all together to try to make a movie, and that's why it feels so shitty.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't work.
I think I turned it off like halfway through. I was like, no. I was like, I'm good. Like,
I think I watched about 3/4 of it, and I just had enough. Like, because you knew it wasn't going to get any better.
Yeah,
at some point
there was no promise at that point. But
I was so excited when it came out. Like I'm a huge Phantasm fan. That's like I was telling Alpha on our stream, like outside of Romero, Phantasm is like my fucking heart. And I was so stoked when that movie came out. And I just remember by the end of it, I was so mad. Like I was so upset at these guys for making this piece of shit. Because like Coscarelli didn't even direct it. I think he just gave him his blessing and walked away. And so to me, it doesn't even feel canon. It feels like almost like a fan made film. You know what I mean?
it looks like a fan made film.
It looks like one too. Yeah. So, but I just remember being so disappointed. That's why I don't even consider it anymore. Like I don't have it. Like I don't, you know what I mean? I don't even consider it a part of the series.
That's like me with Return to Sleepaway Camp. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. I pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
What's that he keeps saying in that friggin' movie?
Your ass stinks.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my God, that fucking poor Felissa Rose. Talking about good people being messed up in that nonsense. Oh my God. Vincent Pastore too. My God, that shit sucks. But Uncle Bill, buddy, what do you got for your second topic of the evening?
All right, so you can either do one or both of these, I guess, in terms of like it's the same kind of situation.
Pick your poison.
What would you say was that you can remember was your most disappointing experience with a movie that you thought was going to be really, really good, or vice versa? Like, what was a movie that really, really surprised you that you thought was going to be really, really crap?
I got a controversial one that comes right to mind. I don't know if it's the most disappointing, but I was very disappointed when I saw Land of the Dead. I like remember it verbatim, and I'm not huge on the movie. Like I wouldn't even say I like the movie. I'm not a fan of it. It's okay, but I don't know. Never been a huge fan of it. I always remember just being, oh my God, night, dawn, day. Like how could this miss? And then I was just like, I don't know, man. The cast in that movie, like
it's the cast. I'm telling you, that's
John Leguizamo, Simon Baker, terrible. Like I don't know. I like Asia. I watch Asia Argento in anything. I watch Robert Joy. He's great, but I don't know. I just thought that for what I expected, that's got to be up there for disappointing. It's another one. Romero actually, and I think Alpha would back me on this. Would be Two Evil Eyes. Was one that I thought. Argento and Romero together, how the fuck could this not be great? And then I don't really like that movie at all. So those two come to mind for disappointing.
I'm trying to think. I can come up with a lot of recent stuff. That one that comes to mind is Maxine, just most recently. Like I was hyped as hell to see Maxine, and then after seeing it, I was like, that kind of sucked. Like that was not very
See, I still haven't seen that movie, but I hear people like that movie has the most mixed reviews I have ever heard. Like some people like it's great, and a lot of people are like it's horrible. Like,
it doesn't make any sense. Like the story of it, like the way it just didn't. Like I was a fan of X, I like X, big fan of Pearl. I love Pearl. So in Maxine, it's going to be like, oh, it's going to be 80s, you know, it's going to be kind of a take on the slashers and then at one point in the movie, you're like, oh, wait, are they going down the Giallo road? Like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And then it says, no, we're not doing any of that shit. We're going to go off into fucking bullshit land. And I'm just like, oh God. No, that one's probably comes to mind. I mean, Land of the Dead. Yeah. The first time I saw it, I was like, it's not what I wanted. But I've grown to appreciate it more over the years. I'll just say that. I'm trying to think what else would be a huge.
It's harder for me to think of one I thought I was going to hate and loved. I feel like that's the one that's.
I'll tell you, one of those is the Blair Witch Project. When I first saw that, because I remember everybody hyping that movie up, and I was always the kid that was like, I know horror movies. Like I've watched them since I was a kid. Like I know horror, and that what is this bullshit? Like all these, because everybody at school was just like, oh, it's so scary. It's the most terrifying movie ever. And I'm just like, oh, it ain't that fucking scary. Come on, guys. And then I watch it, and then after it's over, I'm afraid to get out of my seat. Like, I'm afraid to get up, walk around the house. I'm just like, holy shit, that was intensely terrifying for me because I lived in the woods. So like I was used to being out in the woods and hearing shit and seeing weird shit and when you're a kid, your mind's just kind of, you play tricks on you. So seeing a movie like that, and you got to remember, like, I'd never seen a found footage movie before. Like, that was kind of the first one. I mean, you can say like Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, I was gonna say there really weren't many. Yeah.
Yeah. So like seeing that for the first time, I didn't know if it was real or not. Like, because it came off so, because you didn't see anything. And I think that's the thing that works about that movie, is that it doesn't show you anything. If it shows you something, it automatically takes you out of the idea that this is actually real found footage.
Yeah.
That's where 90% of found footage movies go wrong, is that they try to show you too much. Whereas the Blair Witch Project showed you hardly anything at all. But everything that they did do was effective because it left it to your imagination, left it to you to fill in the blanks, which is anytime you watch or go down a rabbit hole on YouTube or all these like videos like, oh, it's Sasquatch, or there's UFOs or the drones, if you guys were talking about the drones flying over New Jersey, like, it leaves it to your imagination. So just seeing a little bit can go a long way. So that's one that stands out to me, is one that like I went into almost with the mindset of like, I'm gonna hate this shit, this is bullshit, and then after it was over, I was just like, holy shit, like, I'm blown away. So that's one for me.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Landon.
No, I was gonna say, one of the ones that was hyped up so much that I was actually pretty excited to see was Longlegs, and I just remember by the end of that, I was super fucking disappointed. I couldn't stand that piece of shit. I know a lot of people love it. A lot of people love it.
I liked it a lot.
I did too.
And I typically
split 50. That's about right.
Yeah,
that's about
right here. So I try not to buy into the hype machine too much. I really don't. But then when you start saying shit like the best thing since Silence of the Lambs, and then it looks like kind of like this gritty detective serial killer thing, you don't really know what's going on, and then there's like spheres in people's heads and shit, and Nicolas Cage, dude, I can't, like, all I see is Nicolas Cage. I cannot see.
Yeah, he was my only, like, I don't know, he was too over the top, I thought. Everything else I loved, though.
It was too over the top.
I loved him in that movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was just
like his performance in that movie. To me, it's like I was ready. Like, as the movie's going, you don't really see him for like the first 30, 45 minutes or something like that. So I'm like, oh man, because the first part of the movie, I'm like, it's fine. But when Nicolas Cage comes on screen, this is going to take this shit to 11, And then he comes on screen, and to me, I'm just like, he looks like Tiny Tim or something. Like, there's just too much makeup. It doesn't look real to me. And then his performance is so over the top and goes so far.
The almost birthday girl.
Yeah. The singing, when he starts fucking singing and doing the dancing and shit, I was like, oh my god.
There's there's moments. There's quick moments of genius in that performance, but it quickly goes out the way. It's like
I know. Alpha finds it and then loses. Alpha's like, I wouldn't hire you at a Dairy Queen.
This is.
Yeah, I can't stand that girl either.
Where we part ways here, because that performance was magical. I'm going to tell you right now. Like, he was like, I've when Cage goes full Cage, like, it does get annoying. He goes full Cage a couple of times in that movie, but it's only like 2 or maybe 3 times. And the rest of the time, he's kind of subdued for Nicolas Cage. But there's the singing part that you're talking about. There's a couple of other parts where he really gets like maybe too much. But overall, I thought everything about his performance was unexpected. That's what I liked about it. Like, he stays like one way for a little while, then he goes nuts for a little while. So you just kind of like, what the hell is, like, what's he doing? Like, what? And that kind of puts, or at least put me on like edge about like, what the fuck is going on with his character. So I enjoyed that. Like, I enjoyed the fact that they let him go crazy a little bit, and then he would be like super serious a little bit, and then it would go back to crazy. Like, it seemed. And people are like, well, it's not like realistic. It was like, well, no shit. You're talking about a movie with like you said, orbs and shit and dolls' heads. So it's not going to be, realistic, but like, you don't know what he is. Is he a guy? Is he a demon? Is he like, how would somebody like that act? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way that I kind of
That's actually a great argument. It really is. Like I like that movie, but my only reserve was I was like, on Nick Cage's performance. But now you make me want to rewatch it with that mentality for sure.
Yes, take that mentality into it, all of you, and go forth and watch Longlegs again.
Well,
I'll probably like it even more with that mentality. To be honest.
Well, even if we're not talking about Nick Cage, even if we just, for me, if you look at the story, like I went into it thinking it was going to be one thing, and then it took such a fucking hook and such a fucking left turn, and then I'm like,
yeah,
see, I like that about it. I like that it wasn't just a serial killer like this by the numbers.
Well, and some people, you see that, and like me, I wasn't prepared for it, and I didn't like it. But some people might like that. They might like that unexpected twist. I didn't. It just didn't click with me.
I'll be honest with you though, Matt. Like I didn't particularly like the whole doll shit. Like that was probably the weakest part of the movie to me, was the fact of like what was actually like going on, like what he was doing.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like that could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something about that movie, and I've watched that movie back to back with a couple of movies to see like what I would pick as my top list for this year. That movie has the like weirdest atmosphere of any movie I've watched this past year, including like The Substance and some of those other movies like that. It just, the way it's shot and lit is just super uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like
I'll agree with that. Like it does have a good vibe, start like from the very beginning. But Grande mentioned a second ago, the lead performance from that, whatever her name is, what's her name?
Oh,
Micah Monroe.
Micah Monroe. Yeah.
Fucking awful. Like, just, you cannot convince me. Like, I'm sorry. There's this woman working for the FBI who can I'm so crazy. It's like, no, they wouldn't hire her.
How was she again?
When she's sitting on the bed with the girl and she's just like, and I know they explained it at the end why she's like that, but you're not going to explain why the FBI would hire her. I mean, even if she is psychic or whatever the fuck, like.
But that's another part that didn't make any sense to me. She's kind of psychic. She's like the Diet Coke of psychic. She's kind of psychic, but not really. Like, so she feels like something's going to happen. But then, like, she lets her partner get his head blown off, like in the beginning of the movie. She's not that psychic, clearly. She didn't see that coming.
Yeah. I did like that part, but yeah, I don't know. Not for me. Like I said, that was one that I was kind of disappointed in this year. In a Violent Nature was another one that I thought.
Fuck that! Holy shit! That
you didn't like Lord of the Rings? In the horror version of Lord of the Rings.
Let's see the thing about that.
This guy walking in the fucking woods. People, I loved it. What? Oh Jesus! Don't even get me started.
The thing about
it had a couple of good kills though. You got to give it that.
It did.
You got to give it that.
And it had a good concept, but the execution. There's so many movies now that I see. They're like, oh, it's a brilliant concept, but if it only had a capable fucking filmmaker behind it that knew how to execute it, instead of taking something that should be a 30-minute short and dragging it out to feature length and really going nowhere with it, which is the same problem I had with Skinamarink. Skinamarink's one of those movies that like is interesting conceptually, but if they took, I know. Hey, listen, hear me out, Uncle Bill.
I'm not saying anything.
If you take that concept of what they were doing, but actually went somewhere with it, built onto it, expanded on it, if you gave that to a capable filmmaker and not a fucking, a YouTuber, which is what most of these movies are being made by now, or people that make short films on YouTube and then get money to make a feature and then have no idea how to make a feature. Like, I feel like there's something you could have done with that in the hands of a more capable filmmaker, but it's the same thing within A Violent Nature. It's like, it's a good concept. It's like a slasher film strictly from the perspective of the silent stalking slasher. Like, that's interesting, but not for fucking 90 minutes of a guy just walking.
And then the end is 15 minutes of this bitch going on in the car about bears.
Yes.
Oh,
that's more Marie Taylor. I really thought she was good.
I was like, what the fuck? You want to watch a good movie where the killer is the lead the whole time and walking through the fucking woods? Watch Sleepaway Camp 3. That's it. That's the end of it.
So real quick though, Alpha, to your point about Skinamarink, they're coming out with a sequel to it, so they got another chance to do it, and I'm sure they'll do it amazingly well.
There's no second chance on that. That's one of those movies, kind of like Blair Witch. The first time that they do it, it could work if done properly, but it's not. They missed the boat.
Listen, this time I hear they're going to have Lincoln Logs instead of Legos, and they're going to piece them up one by one in different frames. So
They're gonna
That
take
should
the
be-
toilet out of the
that should
bathroom
be-
again. No, that's
Take
that's
the
the
toilet
shit out of that's the shit out of nightmares. Taking the commode
That
out of
is,
the
you
bathroom.
don't have a toilet
Weird
in your
stuff,
bathroom
yeah.
at all. Yeah.
But, yeah.
I finally got one that I thought I was going to hate, but I ended up really liking. And you guys might laugh at this. I don't know. I thought Smile was going to be the biggest piece of shit. And I went into the theater ready to roast it. And I actually liked it. I was like, I'm shocked. And the sequel was good too. I like both Smile 1 and Smile 2.
I've yet to see Smile 2. I hear everybody. Listen, I was on the Smile bandwagon train all the way up till the end of that movie when the fucking thing happens. For those who haven't seen it,
yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, come on. But like up to that point, I'm like, all right, this is a fairly decent concept. Like it's working pretty well. And then the thing, and I'm just, nah, I can't.
That's understandable. I don't know. I remember going to the theater because all the I was like, this is going to be like laughably bad, and I liked it. I really did.
I don't know why I can't do that, but I can do like Nicolas Cage and Long Legs. But like something about that monster coming out. Well, I don't know for those people. Is he?
I know what you mean.
Smile? I haven't seen Smile. I haven't either seen that yet. So,
but I've heard that from a number of people that I respect, like of their opinion is that they were like, "Oh, Smile, you'd think it would suck, but it's actually pretty good." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, maybe I'll watch it someday." But
that's got an interesting concept. It really does. Like, it's just the ending.
Yeah, it's fun for sure. Does anybody else have ones that disappointed or overperformed?
So I've got one that I thought that I was going to hate, but I wound up actually really enjoying, and I put it off for years and years and years, and it's actually kind of relevant now. Black Christmas. I thought I was going to fucking hate that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be another piece of shit slasher, and then when I put it on, I was actually pleasantly surprised when I finally watched it.
Wait, are you talking about the original Black Christmas?
Yeah, the original Black Christmas.
I was going to say, if you like the Black Christmas 2019,
no.
we gotta have a talk.
No, I'm talking about the OG.
Okay.
Listen, I put it off for years and years, and I put off a lot of slashers for years and years and years, and then when I finally started watching them, a lot of them I was pleasantly. I really liked The Prowler when I finally saw that. Because it was another one that I put off. You know, when I was a kid, it was fucking Jason Voorhees. That's all it was. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then when I started branching out and actually starting to watch stuff, I really appreciate it. Like The Prowler had some awesome fucking kills in it.
Oh yeah,
that knife through the head with the white eyes and all that crazy shit. That was awesome.
Pitchfork comes to mind.
Yeah. But
it's definitely one Savini's the star of.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Black Christmas. What was the Billy, I think was the name of the killer, right?
Yeah.
Just how fucking psychotic he was, and just the way that he killed people, and I don't know, that one just that really surprised me when I finally saw that a couple years ago.
That's one that took me years and years to finally see, and then once I did, I can't remember who put it out, but it was on the DVD. It was like the white DVD.
That was Critical Mass. Yes,
Critical Mass. Ended up finding, I was like, oh shit, finally I can watch Black Christmas. I bought it and I was still living at home with my parents. I was still a teenager at the time. And I remember sitting there, and my younger sister she wanted to watch it with me. I was like, all right, you're not going to like it. It's old and you're not going to be into it at all. Like she's gonna be like, I'll just hang out and watch it. We watched the whole fucking movie. And by the end of it, that final shot, that crane shot coming out from the window, and you just hear the phone ring.
Yep.
And you realize that the killer's still there. You
talk about a way to end the movie. You talk about endings,
and then it's just credits over the fucking phone ringing. Me and my sister just looked at each other and then looked up into our attic. It was just like, it just planted that seed. It's like, it still fucking works. Even for my sister, who was like not super big into horror. Like she liked cool movies, but she was not, in the mindset to love a movie like Black Christmas at the time. She was just watching it just because she had nothing else to do. And by the end, she was like, that might be the scariest fucking movie I ever seen.
It's so good, man.
Effective,
all the early Bob Clark stuff, like that, and I also always say Death Dream, I think is a great movie. I don't know if Landrum, if any of you guys have seen that too. That's another like great movie. But Black Christmas is all-time classic for sure.
Yeah, Bob Clark's very underrated. Like you said, Death Dream, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Yeah. That's a fun one. But I mean, just the fact that the dude did Black Christmas and A Christmas Story,
Yeah.
He did Porky's too.
And Porky's.
We got a couple comments. I'm sorry, I've been hard to stay up with the comments tonight. Black Christmas is amazing. All hail Bob Clark. I did not mind Long Legs. Why the chapters in the movie? She's a majority of psychics. Yeah, majority of them.
Margarine of
Happy
psychics.
anniversary, a year since I first stumbled on your channel. Thank you so much, Brittany. Merry Christmas to you too. Kal-El is here. Sorry guys, there's so many comments I can't even go back that far.
Yeah, it's hard to really keep up on comments when you get the roundtable going on. I figured that out last time I did a roundtable on my channel. I was like, I'm sorry guys, but there's too much going on here. So.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be attentive to the people that's on the table. That's but okay, Alpha, you got the next topic, brother. What do you got?
So here recently on Rogan, I don't know if you guys saw or listened to Tarantino and Roger Avery on Rogan, that interview. I thought it was a really good, one of the better interviews that I've heard on Rogan in quite a while. But it was really interesting hearing Roger Avery, because I mean, he did the commentary on Day of the Dead on that Anchor Bay release, and I hadn't really listened to a whole lot of them. Like I've listened to the their podcast, can't remember what it's called, but they're doing a podcast now where they're reviewing movies. I've listened to that a couple of times, but listening to his story and all that, about how he had to go to jail for a DUI manslaughter charge, like he's gone through some shit. But he was talking. Well, the thing that stood out to me, and I think we were talking about it in the Deadpit Discord, was he was talking about Eyes Wide Shut, the Kubrick film Eyes Wide Shut, and what was originally supposed to happen with that movie, and how Kubrick had all these other things. Like there's supposed to be some voiceover parts that were erased after he had died. Like the studio just got rid of those. The studio apparently cut that movie into what it is now, but that's not the movie that Kubrick was intending. Apparently in the screen, because Roger Avery owns the original shooting screenplay for Eyes Wide Shut, and he was talking about all the stuff that they'd cut out and what that movie was supposed to be. And the movie is really, it kind of pushes you into the way of it's Kubrick trying to expose the Hollywood Illuminati elite type of thing, the Bohemian Grove stuff, the conspiracy theories and stuff. And apparently, it just kind of sparked the conversation. I always find it interesting that he died like 4 days after they first screened his cut of that movie. And apparently there's the stories of, people in the theater hearing him screaming back and forth with the producers of the movie about he's like, no, it's got to be my cut. I want it my way, blah, blah, blah. And then 4 days later, he ends up dead. So there's all those conspiracies. Yeah, there you go. All those conspiracies surrounding, and there's always some conspiracies surrounding Kubrick stuff. Even going back to The Shining. But if you guys have any favorite film conspiracies or conspiracies in Hollywood or anything like that, that
Kubrick filmed the moon landing. That's mine.
Yeah. Yep.
That's really all I can think about.
And the whole thing with like The Shining, where it's like, oh, he's trying to tell us that he filmed the moon landing with this stuff from The Shining and all this stuff. Like there's all those conspiracies.
But that documentary, did any of you see that? The Room 237, and it's like,
yeah, that's way out there, man.
It's so bad, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that's one of those movies that's like, it's one of those documentaries where they seems like they're trying to draw conclusions from where it's just like, come on. But yeah, like those conspiracies, like the whole idea that he was killed because of what he was trying to expose with Eyes Wide Shut, like, and then the Hollywood elites wouldn't allow him to, and so they
that movie is amazing for a lot of different reasons, in my opinion. But like, I never knew that. I never knew that was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, because so apparently the original ending of that movie. So throughout the whole movie, originally, Tom Cruise's character Bill is being followed throughout the whole movie by these two guys through the whole movie, and then at the end of the movie, when when him and Nicole Kidman take their daughter shopping, and then she kind of runs off, and they don't take their eyes off of her until they tell her to, oh, okay, go find your Christmas gifts. And she runs off, and then they had that conversation, where they're like, oh, there's only one thing left for us to do now, and fuck. And then that's where the movie ends. The original ending of that movie that Kubrick wanted was, in the background, you see those two men walk up to her daughter and take her off, insinuating that Tom Cruise, to get out of the trouble that he was in, sold off his daughter to the elites or whatever into slavery, that type of thing. And then the conspiracy is that the studios would not allow that to happen. So
I mean, is that outside of the realm of possibility? No, not really.
Especially the more we find out about,
I mean, you got Diddy slipping and sliding around with. I mean, is any of that stuff really like beyond the realm of possibility? No.
Yeah.
The movie itself, though, as it stays right now, is pretty. You pretty much read between the lines about what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Even if they did cut it down, they didn't do a very good job of taking out the subtext, which is like, there's this upper echelon of people that are, behind all this stuff and kind of, so maybe he wanted it to be more spot on, but like it's pretty good right now.
And I think when it first came out, people really didn't see it as that. They just, because I remember the movie came out, people were like, "Oh, it's horrible." I'm like, why would you ever watch it? But then, like, over the years, like you said, the more we find out, the more dots you can kind of connect on what he was saying with that, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I see where he was going with that." I just think I always thought that was interesting. That was an interesting conspiracy for me. And another one I don't know if you guys have ever heard is the Illuminati connection to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, never heard of that.
What are you talking about?
That's exactly what I was.
Well, see, Next Generation to me is the most honest and real sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's Kim Hinkle for one, so it's like the original guy, helped write the original. But of course, everybody knows. I mean, everybody kind of gets now that Next Generation's about the Illuminati. Like, it's about this group of people that have been hired to kidnap and torture and murder these kids, and of course the guy shows up in the limousine, and that's
Vito Corleone shows up.
Yeah. And the whole idea is he's got the shit on his chest, and he licks the girl to taste her fear. Because I don't know what you guys know about the Illuminati. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's one of those conspiracy theories that I always thought I go down the rabbit hole sometimes.
I feel like you do, Alvin. I feel like you do know a lot about it.
His Illuminati eye behind his Dawn poster.
Yeah. But I just think, but I never got that when I first saw that movie. But looking back at it now, you're like, oh, okay, like you kind of make some of the shit in the original make sense. Like they are kind of already, because you got to think Toby Hooper, Kim Hinkle back in the early 70s were hippies on acid and doing God knows what else at the time. Yeah. I know they were fucking stoned out of their minds. So they were probably into that stuff, with the whole, astrology and stuff that they go into. But the thing that stood out that I never understood about in the original, but when you look back and if you kind of learn anything about, the Illuminati conspiracies and shit, it makes total sense. I don't know if you guys know what adrenochrome is and what that's supposed to be. So adrenochrome is
we're going
way, dude. Like how fucking this shit are we going?
Listen, like
it's fucking story time with Uncle Alpha. Like
this is killer.
I can't. You got me on the edge of my seat.
So in the lore, the conspiracy lore of the Illuminati, adrenochrome is the blood of terrified children that gets harvested from the children and fed to the.
He's like, yep.
And it's fed to the older, the elites, the Illuminati, the lizard people, whatever. And it keeps them alive. It keeps them going. The original Texas Chainsaw, when they bring Grandpa down, who's obviously an ancient being he's over 100 years old easily. They bring him down, they cut Sally's finger, and he sucks on the blood. And that's when he starts to kind of come to life. He starts kicking. They were onto that in the original Texas Chainsaw. Like that's where
I think you're reaching
a little bit. Looks on everybody's face. I can't tell you like how.
But what else would that matter? What else, especially following Next Generation with Kim Hinkle? That was a Kim Hinkle movie. I mean, maybe a lot of that came from Kim Hinkle because Kim Hinkle's kind of out there as he is. But that's a conspiracy that I've always.
That's interesting.
Nobody knows what to say to this.
I really don't. I can't touch this with a stick. I don't even know what to say.
So, yeah.
But I mean, it does. The original Texas Chainsaw, it does kind of make some of that shit, like the whole astrology thing,
Okay, I'll give you that, like the astrology thing, and then the thing on the side of the van that he writes in blood. I always thought that was a weird thing too, about what exactly that was about. I didn't take it to the Illuminati, but I did think it was interesting that he does some sort of like thing on the side of the van. I don't know if it was just a marker to let the family know that like he had met up with them. That's what I always assumed it was. But what the fuck are we doing?
I'm curious if he knew that already or if that was a quick Google search.
I'm sure he Googled that.
Yeah.
I think he Googled that.
I don't know.
Hey, so one conspiracy which obviously has been debunked and is full of shit was that Brandon and Bruce Lee were both killed by the triads, right? When that
that was a conspiracy.
It was a conspiracy for a long time. So
were they Illuminati triads though? That's what I want to know immediately.
I'm just gonna let y'all know that if I end up coming up missing tomorrow morning, you guys know why. All right.
I'm going. If you come up missing tomorrow, I'm going looking for the adrenochrome, the trail of adrenochrome.
But why else do they keep Sally alive in the original and just torture her to raise her fear level?
Because they're crazy as fuck.
Yeah, but it's to raise the fear level to harvest.
It makes a good movie.
No,
yeah,
I don't know. It's a good point. It's.
But even in Next Generation, they Renee Zellweger's smart enough to not fear and just say, "Sit the fuck down," and that's when they start getting frantic,
That you like, I don't know. I can't see what you're seeing in the first one. I mean, I get it, but I can't see that. But like the fourth one, there is something weird going on in that movie.
Yes.
I've never been able to piece together like what in the hell he's trying to like convey in that movie.
I don't even think he knew what the hell he was trying to convey.
Yeah.
That's the fun of that movie. It's just
there's also the thought that that movie got shelved for all those years and kind of hidden, and when it was finally released, just kind of released under the radar and just because of what they were saying and doing, talking about the Illuminati. That's always been kind of a thing too that people that I've heard. I don't know, just going down the dark web rabbit holes, but
yeah.
That movie was
bring up one that's not as fun. I mean, I always think of
not as fun.
Not as joyful
not as fun as that at all. Salo, apparently,
that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
the director. It's I guess theorized that he was killed by one of the actors after the film wrapped because obviously if you've seen Salo, you know why. Like I don't know.
You can figure it out.
There's some poop eating. That's all I'll say. But I don't know what I ever made of that. I kind of believe that could be the case. But what do you think, UB?
100% believe that that's true.
Yeah,
because his whole like, there's two things about that movie. Number one, it's so explicitly kind of like mean and like there's some of the people look like kids, and so I could see somebody killing him just for that. But then it's also supposed to be this weird kind of allegory about like the politics at that time, and I don't think a lot of people like that about what he was trying to say, and I'm pretty sure he was killed for that reason.
I thought so too. I think I totally buy into that one for sure. Another one that's not as controversial because I'm pretty sure it's like, I don't know, to me it's the whole Spielberg and Tobe Hooper with Poltergeist. Like I feel like Steven Spielberg made that movie. I really don't even.
Listen, can we go back to this adrenochrome shit for a minute?
Yeah.
Can we?
I apologize.
Listen, I just want to know about adrenochrome. Like, where'd you find out about this?
YouTube, dog. There's like I don't know, there's like certain channels, they'll go down to the rabbit hole of like the Illuminati, what they, what that is, and what, they go into like the assassination of JFK and all this stuff. Like there was just a period of my life where I just went down these rabbit holes and was just like, oh, wow. Okay. Not that I really buy into any of it, but I find it interesting that this stuff is out there,
I did the same thing. It was probably about 10 or 12 years ago. I was working late night shifts, like 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. I wasn't getting much sleep. And I would just sit there at work sometimes and just start fucking Googling this shit. And that's where I learned about like lizard people and like the seventh dimension or whatever, all that crazy shit.
Build-A-Bear,
Bilderberg.
Bohemian Grove. Have you guys seen
Bohemian Grove? But like my tired brain was like obsessed with this shit. Like I was like, oh my God, is this real? And of course, you know, once
that was a time period in my life when I'd be going down those rabbit holes. It would be like when I'd be like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, just you know.
So
you see Alpha Romero like Googling industrial accidents at 3 o'clock.
But a couple of years ago, I was getting the emissions done on my truck, and I had a NASA license plate in the front of my truck, and the dude that was doing the emissions stepped out, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. You like NASA?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, like my kid, you know, he was really small at the time, and it's like, yeah, we like space and stuff like that. You know, it's cool. I kind of got it on there for him." He's like, "Oh, that's neat. Yeah, you see that cool thing right there going through NASA? That's a fucking serpent's tongue." And then he started telling me about how the Earth was flat and like the sun isn't really there. It's like a light in the sky. And I was like,
that's a fun one.
I was like so fucking shocked because it was like this nice old dude, but then he just started spewing all this shit, and I was like, bro, I gotta go. Like, just do your fucking job and let me get out of here. This is insanity. So, and then of course I had to take the NASA plate off my truck because I was like, I don't ever want to have a conversation like that ever again. That was fucking blew my mind. And people, but you know what was crazy is that, and I don't hope I hope nobody watching this gets offended, but the fact that people believe this shit is what shocks me because it's so fucking out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's the thing. Like you can go down these rabbit holes, and it's if you're easily convinced of shit as it is, like, yeah, you know, I can buy that people would believe. I mean, Scientology, shit like that. People that go, you know, it's like it's goofy fun to me, but to some people, I mean, they get wrapped up in it and they lose themselves in it at times. Like I know people personally that have just like the flat Earth shit. I'm just like,
oh yeah,
okay, buddy, all right.
I have a friend of mine that
who do you know person? Because I can make fun of him real quick because that's fucking ridiculous.
I have a friend of mine that I give him so much shit all the time because he does the same thing. He'll just sit there and go through all these TikTok videos of all these conspiracies and shit. And it's just filling his mind with all this garbage. And I'll give him so much shit about being a flat earther. And he's like, man, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I don't believe the earth is flat. But they got some good points. And I was like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, we're done talking about it. Like, yeah, you know. So
yeah. I don't know.
I never thought any of this would come up. I
guess I've just been thinking about it with the whole drone thing going on in New Jersey. I'm freaking the fuck out about these drones, man. And you're up in that area, Grande. Have you seen?
Oh yeah, I'm a short car. I was in Atlantic City like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, no, I was right in Jersey. But
what do you guys think of that? Like, because Matt would be one I'd like to ask. Because remember when we were in Atlanta, you were telling me about those cameras that'll take a picture of your license plate and can track everywhere that you've been.
Oh yeah, the flock cameras. So
flock cameras.
I don't know how far up north they go, but there are these black cameras on a pole, and I know a lot of people in law enforcement, and I've seen them in use. It's not like a conspiracy or anything. It's actual surveillance, but pretty much you'll see like a solar panel, and then you'll see a little black camera on it, and I'm seeing them everywhere now. But basically, it's a grid. It's a tracking grid, and there's a heat map. So anytime you drive by one of those, if you were to, for whatever reason, type in your license plate number, it'll pull up a heat grid and show exactly every time you've passed by one of those, and they actually track people. So, I mean, you could be uncomfortable with it, and I understand the surveillance aspect of it, but what's really cool is I've seen these cases worked where they've caught pedophiles and rapists and shit like that by tracking them with these cameras. So there's the good and the bad, right? But the drone thing kind of freaks me out too, and I've kind of been hesitant to read about it because from what I understand, like the government's come out and said, "Don't worry about it. It's not us. So don't fucking worry about it." And
that's a good cover. Yeah, just paying attention to that.
So it's like trying to find a happy medium of, well, I know the government can be full of shit sometimes, but at the same time, like I'm not a conspiracy nut. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to find that medium. So I don't know, man. I don't know about the drones. Like I thought by now, because I know it's illegal to shoot them too, right? So like if you shoot one down, you could get arrested. I think it's a felony. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a danger. I mean, those things come land on somebody, kill somebody. You never know where those things are going to land. But you'd think it's I've heard, the forget who it was talking about. It was the Iranians. They have a mothership off the coast of Jersey because that's where they say they're coming from, is from the ocean.
The mothership, if you will.
The mothership,
baby. 605 on the mothership coming at you live from
the drones
New
of
Jersey,
the Marcus Civic Center tonight, and the Marcus Dream is going main event and go Broadway against Harley Race. Maybe I'm gonna dodge the high knee and hit him with the bionic elbow, if you will, Cody.
And I tell you this right now, Daddy. You get one of them drones in my way, I'm gonna take it inside the steel cage this Saturday night, the National Guard Armory, baby. It's going to be me and drone.
And a chance against Dusty Rhodes, if you will.
Let me tell you something. This black camera's going to tell me to remove my birthmark mark on my chest, baby. Then I'm going to go Broadway with Ric Flair. I'm going to take that goober looking hat. I'm going to throw it into the crowd, if you will, Cody.
I'm going to gig you on top of your head, baby, and get you adrenochrome out of your brain all day long, if you will. That's right. It's Illuminati Dusty.
Adrenochrome, if you will. Oh my God.
So Grande, we've covered dead kids, we've covered drones and the Illuminati.
This is the fucking round table that just keeps on giving the whole fucking way. I don't know how I have one more topic. I don't even know how you can follow any of this.
You're not gonna. I don't care what it is. It's not gonna follow that.
No, really, it's not. But what better transition? I got a simple one here, not horror related. Best and worst Christmas gift of all time.
Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome within my stocking, if you will, baby. I'm gonna rub it in my hair all night long.
I got me a vial of that adrenochrome, baby. God. All right.
Okay. That's quite the transition.
Illuminati.
Best and worst Christmas gifts.
I'm fucking blanket, dude. I cannot think of anything.
I got a funny one for the worst that I ever got. I've never been into like remote control cars or anything like that. But when I was a kid, I had an uncle that just every year for some fucking reason, and he'd get me some really expensive ones from like Hess. One year, he got me like a remote control helicopter from Hess, and it was really expensive. It was like crazy. And it was a fucking, it was beautiful tundra outside. He's like, oh, take it out. Like, I want to see you flying around. And I'm like, sure, I had to like act that I cared. So, I'm flying the fucking thing around. And sure enough, I flew it right into a tree and it broke into a million pieces. I remember him fucking turning to me. Oh my God, it was terrible. It was absolutely the worst gift that I ever got for Christmas.
What about best? You got a favorite gift?
Best? It's weird because it's like probably, I don't know. It meant a lot to me at the time. And this will fucking so they had the build your own lightsabers, and I was a Star Wars maniac. And I remember getting the build your own, like came with the crystals, so you could put the color crystal, and then it lit up whatever color you wanted. That was easily number one for me. I was like, holy shit, like I'm a Jedi, motherfucker. Like that was the greatest for me. But I don't know. That was for 7-year-old me. That meant a lot.
Well, I had to dig, and I think I know it's a tie. So I had to dig into my childhood. I had the Ghostbusters, the firehouse where you put the slime in the top and the slime oozes all the way down. That was one. And I think I had, it was the Batman. It was the Batcave right after the 89 Batman came out. So I had the Batcave and it folded open, and those are my two best memories that I have of Christmas. Worst gift, probably some fucking socks or something. I don't know. I can't think of anything bad that I've gotten.
I love those now. I used to hate getting shit like that when I was a kid.
When you were a kid,
yeah. That's all I want to get is like t-shirts and socks and stuff. I easily picked like two of my favorites that I can remember. But like you all, I can't really like remember like a horrible gift. But there've been quite a few, but like the two that come out. So the original NES system I got for Christmas, and then along with that was Kung Fu, which I remember getting Kung Fu like it was yesterday. That's how like amazing that technology was at that time for kids. Like, so that game is, if you've ever seen that game, it's just like a little guy, 8-bit pixel guy runs and like just punches and kicks things off a screen for like 6 levels, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
But at that time, like that was like the thing to have. And I played it in the arcade, and it was like the fact that you could own that and play it in your house, and like it was like mind blowing for a kid at that point in time. I remember that. And then I remember do you remember the G.I. Joe big ass thing that like you could land the jet?
Oh fuck, dude! I had that too. Yes, I forgot about that.
I got that, and that one I was like, that was another one mind blowing experience where like because it was so huge and you could like you had to put it together yourself and
it was the aircraft carrier.
Yeah. So yeah. Those are
that
the
thing
two.
was fucking rad. That was
well,
awesome.
you told one I saw CK posted today was your worst gift. That's what made me think of the top.
Yeah, I know, but now for some reason I can't even think of what the fuck I said on there.
It was a puzzle. I'll give you that. I was dying at the story. That's what made me say it here.
God. Yeah, a Garfield puzzle that, and I think I was like 17 or 18 when I got that. Yeah, so
not a bad gift when you're 5, but.
That was the weirdest. That's not only the worst, maybe, but also the weirdest because, like, who the fuck thinks get like a teenager like a Garfield puzzle, like 100-piece puzzle? Like,
and why Garfield? Like,
I don't know. No, I didn't even like Garfield, so I don't know.
They couldn't find anything else. There's like, I just
it's something they bought. I'm sure, like the Dollar Tree last minute. Yeah,
like I just throw it in there. I don't know. I don't really have any bad gifts that had come to mind. I have a disappointing gift when I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. So at the time, all I wanted was they just released this new WWF wrestling ring. It's one of those like full-size wrestling ring, not full-size, but like for your wrestlers to play with your wrestlers. That's what I loved to do when I was a kid. And that's all I wanted for Christmas was just this wrestling ring. So Christmas morning comes, Santa's come. I'm like, oh, Santa's here. And I see this box and it's the perfect size, perfect shape. I'm like, I know that's that wrestling ring. That's all I want. It's that fucking wrestling ring. So I'm opening all the gifts. I'm saving that one to last because I'm playing along. I'm just like, all right, I'll save this to last because that's the big one, And I'm opening, and then all of a sudden, one of the gifts I open is they had like a toy stage set, like for like Raw or whatever, like a toy stage. I was like, oh fucking hey, they got me the stage too. This is awesome. Like this is perfect. So I get to my final gift. I pull it over there. I'm like, I know what this is. I'm taking the fucking shit off, and I look. It's a pair of rollerblades.
Ooh,
that's rough. No, it's like, what the fuck is my big ass gonna do on some rollerblades?
Did you
like,
rollerblade? That was my next question. Was that something?
No, we didn't even live we lived on a gravel road. There was nowhere to fucking use them. Like it made no sense. I was just like, this is what?
Now you get out there in the grass and you rollerblade.
So yeah, I didn't get the ring. I got a pair of rollerblades, and I had my front porch back and forth. I just said, fuck it, I don't even want to do it anymore. I still don't know how to fucking skate to this day. So that's probably the most disappointing memory I remember when I was a kid. I was like, fucking roller skates. But I mean, it was at that time where roller blades were like the big thing at the time. But probably my favorite memory, Christmas morning, Christmas gift was my first guitar. My first electric guitar. I was like 13, and I got an Ibanez 7-string and a little crate, just a little practice crate amp. Yeah, just a little practice amp, and that was it. I was obsessed after that moment. So that's probably the one that stands out as my favorite Christmas gift that I can remember.
That's awesome. All of those were awesome. We had a couple of comments. Obi-Wan Grande, yes. Redo of Kung Fu Master arcade game, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've never played that. That sounded like a lot of fun, though. Jedi motherfucker, do you speak the Force? Yes. OD puzzle would be worse.
Yeah, it could get worse. Could be worse.
You should have built a plywood rollerblade tracks as synthetic. Yes.
I'm not one of those guys. Like all my friends wanted to like skateboard and stuff. I was like, that shit hurts. I ain't doing that. But so I was never one to like roll.
Wrestling where you power bombed your sister through table, right?
Yeah. Oh, we used to do that shit all the time. We had our own little backyard wrestling company back in the day called the XWO, and we'd do all kinds of crazy shit, man.
I need XWO merch ASAP, dude. That's what I want for Christmas. If that's not in my stocking, I'm going to be fucking pissed. When my niece was very young and she opened up her present and saw coloring books and crayons, and she looked at everyone and said, I can't believe you fucking got me these. That's amazing. Nothing like disappointing. But hey, guys, this has been a lot of fun shooting the breeze with you guys. We're coming on 2.5 hours here, so I think we can call it. But yeah, I just want to say thank you all so much for making the time tonight to be on the roundtable. It was a lot of fun. Do any of you guys have anything you want to promote coming up, or any questions, comments, concerns, that good stuff?
So before we go, I before we go, I remember we got to talk about Sleepaway Camp.
Oh yeah, tell. Yes.
So I've been telling you, I've wanted to visit Camp Rolling Hills. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. It's in Waco, Georgia. It's on private property, but you know what? I've been talking to this guy on YouTube. He's been kind of showing me, like, he sent me all of his map and shit like that.
Oh God, the map.
Listen, so it's like a certain entry point that you have to go into the woods, because it's completely overgrown now. Like, the only thing you can really see now is the pool. I think there's some remnants of the cabins and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've been talking about this for a long time. I'm just going to risk it. I'm going to do it. Right. So I've got this whole plan. Right. I drove all the way out there, and it's like a 45-minute walk through the woods. There's no fucking path. It's just like a straight shot through just thick wooded brush, all kind of shit. So some things are going through my mind on the way out there. First of all, I'm thinking, all right, I'm 40 years old. I've done pretty good so far. I can't catch a fucking trespass charge. Like, I just can't do it. I got caught trespassing when I was 12 years old, and I got a charge for it. It's been taken care of, but that's like the one thing in my life that, and it haunts me to this day, right? Like, thinking about it. It's been expunged, everything's cool.
The Illuminati got rid of it for you.
But I started thinking about that, and then I was like, it's still hunting season. Like, I'm not going to have any kind of like orange on out there or anything like that. It's just going to be me and a pack. I'm on the way there, by the way, thinking about all this shit for some reason. All of a sudden, I'm trying to talk myself out of it, probably. But so I get there, and I'm like going over all these things. I fucking pull up, and there's like a little on the road where the entry point is. There's like a little pull off where you can kind of park over there. It's like just like a little concrete area. It's nowhere near the camp. Like I said, it's like a 45-minute hike through the woods from this spot. I get there. There's a fucking cop sitting there right in the spot that I'm supposed to park, get out, and go through the woods. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. I'm sorry. I was going to get you a piece of the pool. Like, I was going to get you a piece of the ceramic pool. So I was like, you know what? This is a sign. If I've ever seen one in my whole fucking life, this is a sign that I need to get the fuck out of here. So I'm sorry, dude. It's not going to happen.
That thought means so much to me. Like, that's so kind of you. So thank you. And I'm flattered you almost risked trespassing your first trespassing charge since you're 12 for me. That means a lot. It really does.
You should have gone up to the cop and been like, hey, where Pamela Springsteen shot?
Where they shot that scene?
Yeah.
Or...
Looking for a swimming pool.
Well, Matt, you just recently did like a location hunt for Cannibal Apocalypse.
Yeah, dude.
You just did a whole bunch of
all that shit. We were talking about that backstage. Yeah, I mean, some of the locations were kind of available online already, but some of them weren't accurate. Like, there's actually, if you watch the DVD special features, there's like a video tour of locations. Half of it's completely wrong. Like, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but like all of it, I was like, this is fucking crazy, because all I did was a little bit of research and was able to find most of it. And some of it, some other people have found already too. But one of the things that we were talking about was there's a scene where I think her name's Mary in the film. Hopper's wife, is driving, and she's driving up next to Dr. Phil, who's jogging on the sidewalk, and there's a brief moment where you can kind of see on the mailbox there's a number. So I paused it and frame by framed it and got almost an entire fucking address off that mailbox. And was able to find the whole neighborhood where they filmed all pretty much all the residential stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
I didn't know that was filmed in Georgia.
Yeah, it was filmed all over Atlanta. Yeah. Like I was telling Uncle Bill, like my dad, he's a retired Atlanta police officer, and like I'm seeing all these chase scenes and shit like that, and he remembered when they filmed a lot of that stuff. But there's like the varsity. We eat at the varsity all the time, and like you could see that clearly. I was like, holy shit! So I had to go do then and now pictures of all that stuff. But the coolest part was when we went to yesterday. I went to Forest Park, Georgia, and that's where they filmed like the flea market stuff. Where Giovanni Radici is in the shootout and all that with the cops, and he kills everybody, or kills a couple people. But I went there and was matching up shots, and I see these two old timers sitting out front, and I walked up to them, and obviously I'm kind of out of place. Like, I don't It's some white
You're
dude
up to
out
no
here
good.
snapping pictures of shit. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
stood out. So, but I walked up to him and I just to break the ice a little bit, because I didn't want them thinking I was snapping pictures of them in particular. I showed them what I was doing. I was like, hey, check this shit out. You know, this is really cool. They filmed right here where you guys are sitting, 1980. This is what it looked like. And one of the old dudes is like, I remember when they filmed that. That's so fucking cool. You know, so and so was an extra. Just went off. Like, it was so cool that he got super excited about that. So, now the people that worked inside the retailer, it's a Rose's Express now. It used to be a flea market, but the people that worked inside kind of came out and fucking had a couple words with me, because they're like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And I had explained to them, and I was like, hey, can I just snap a quick picture inside really quick? And they were like, sure, that's fine. So I went and snapped a quick picture. And of course, if you look at the picture, you can see me in the security picture taking the photo, and then all these customers fucking staring at me like this. Like, I don't care. I'll never come back here again. Like, you'll never see me again. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, dude. It was a lot of fun hunting that shit down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I thought those pictures were and I really liked that movie too. So
yeah, awesome fucking movie. Yeah.
How about you, UB? Have anything you want to promote on here?
So Jesus Christ. So Saturday night, probably at 10, I think. On Planet CHH, it's going to be CK and I are going to be on there with Christian. And then Sunday night, we're doing the Exploit Nation, which is the guinea pig series of films at 10. We're going to be covering that whole series of films. I really don't look forward to watching those again, but we're, just for the sake of doing it at Christmas, we're going to do it, because I'm sure everybody wants to know about those films at Christmas.
Get everybody in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, nothing gives you like the Christmas spirit like Mermaid in a Manhole. But yeah, that's all I can think of right now. Oh, and we were going to do the Friday Night Lives, but like I said, I have to cancel that one. So,
okay, very cool. How about you, Alpha?
Well, this Saturday I will be doing a Romero trivia night on the channel as kind of a give back. I got some shit to give away here for the winners. Some Blu-rays. I got Martin soundtrack on vinyl.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just some stuff to give away. Just something to play along, give back, say Merry Christmas to everybody. And I've been working on this game for a little while. It's 4 rounds, 5 questions per round. Each correct answer, you get entry into. I'm using your gimmick of the spin the wheel, make the deal, UB. So we're gonna be spinning the wheel to pick winners and all that shit. So it's just gonna be. I'm just gonna be dicking around Saturday nights. 9 p.m. Eastern time, I think is when I'm going to do it. So 9 p.m. Eastern is when I'll start it. And there'll be 4 different categories. It should be fun. I'm just going to have a good time with it. And then I think the following week after that, I think I'm going to try to do another roundtable of my own, get some people in there to kind of end the year on the right foot and kind of say goodbye to 2024. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it that I got planned for the rest of the year. So.
That sounds like fun. I think I'll be there for Romero trivia night. That sounds like just too fun of an opportunity.
If you think you know Romero, come flex your muscle. Let's
listen,
see.
Dude. I've seen the people that are in that chat. I ain't even gonna attempt coming in there.
It's gonna be those people are hardcore.
No.
I was gonna say if Larry or fucking John Vulo show up, you could just go ahead and shovel the gifts in their direction. Like that's it.
Well, Larry actually helped me with one of the categories, so I think I'm going to disqualify him from one of those. Yeah. So, but yeah, it should be fun.
Absolutely. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight. This was a lot of fun. Next week we'll be on, of course, I think the day after Christmas will be the next Friday's Great. We'll be talking all things Twilight Zone Season 2, Part 2 with Fever Dreamland Theater. Anthony, always great to talk, the Twilight Zone stuff with him. So I'm very excited for that. Guys, thank you all once again for an awesome show. Thank you all in the chat. Sorry, it was kind of hard to keep up with all that stuff. But yeah, no, everybody, thank you so much. And have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Happy Hanukkah, whatever the hell, happy holidays. And we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too Sweet Peace. Good night, everybody.